Hello there, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and as usual, I have with me my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
I'm doing all right. Busy time of year for me, but I'm keeping it together. I'm here, ready, to just have a nice little chat together and talk with our friends hanging out in the chat and everything. It's gonna be
Well,
nice.
that's what we do here, and there's certainly a lot of things going on, so there's no shortage of things to talk about, as usual. Uh, we have, you know, a lot to talk about when it comes to tariffs, a few other things that
Oh
happened
goodness.
today. There was also the Daredevil finale.
Yep, I
Which
managed to squeeze that in so we can talk about that as well.
managed to squeeze that in myself. So we'll be able to have a little conversation about that. And there's certainly a lot to discuss there. So, like I said, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to go over as much as we can.
Yeah. So let's see. Well, gosh. What's to say about the tariffs that we haven't already said, Bryce?
I mean, the
There's
thing
just
is,
so much going on. So many things just keep changing. It's wild.
the thing is that and with this, I wanted to ask you because I feel like out of the two of us, you're usually, have more knowledge than I. It's not that I don't have any knowledge, but I think that you usually somehow are a step ahead of me a lot of times when it comes to these tariffs. So on one hand, I see some people saying, you know what, Trump is doing brilliant work. He's wearing down China. On the other hand, I see like detractors saying like China, this is the best thing that ever happened to them. They're isolating the US. Meanwhile, been reading about farmers and a potential bailout, and then people are saying, well, if there's a bailout, that means that this move isn't good, it's hurting the farmers. And depending on who you ask and what publication and where you're looking at, there's so many different opinions about it. I guess what's your opinion?
Well, coming out of the gate with the tariffs was a big deal, and it definitely made an impact on the market. And of course, just a few days afterwards, as we were discussing last week, they decided to say, "Okay, we're gonna pause a bunch of these tariffs, but not on China." Right? So they said that, and some people were happy with that. Others not so much. Thinking, well, now we still have all of these tariffs on China. That's still going to cause a lot of disruption in the market because goods that we do import from China, which we do import a lot of goods from China, we import a lot of inputs for goods from China. Lots of materials, and so that is still going to have a big impact on the market. Obviously, it takes time for those things to really hit and for businesses to determine how they're going to handle those things. You have to think about there's a lot of economic stuff that comes into it, like thinking about the price elasticity of the demand for certain products. And so, how much, even if somebody, maybe they've got a bunch of inputs for some particular product that are all going to have tariffs on them from China. How much can they adjust that? How much of that does the business have to eat in their margin? And then how much of it is going to have to be, raising prices on customers? It's going to take a little while for some of that to work its way out. There's also going to be the potential for businesses, hopefully, in some areas to change suppliers. So to look at and say, normally we got stuff from China. We're not going to continue to buy from China now because of the tariffs. It makes sense instead to buy from U.S. suppliers or suppliers in other areas where the tariffs have been put on hold or the tariffs are uh, you know, being negotiated. Right. I think we're going to start to see a lot of that over the next few weeks. We're going to start to see more countries and the White House talking about, hey, we've sat down and we've talked to this country, and now we've got a deal. Right. I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that over the next few weeks. But as far as China, a lot of people, yes, there are definitely going to be products There are going to be inputs for products that come from China that the prices are going to be higher. Businesses are going to have to pay up if they want to bring those materials in. Sometimes that's going to be a sticking point for businesses because they've already got contracts with those companies, right? That they have
Right.
to buy that stuff. So again, it's going to take time for that to actually work its way into the pricing of products and into the market more fully.
I
But
was reading
yeah,
something about how they, Trump softened the tariffs for, like, electronics from China. Is that true?
ye-
Because that would be a big
yes,
deal. Because so much of it is electronics. So what actually are the tariffs on? Is it on clothes?
it's on quite a few products, and there's some different things for different products. Um, let's see. I was trying to look up here and see if I could find specifically what these numbers were, but yes, I know there's some mini tariffs that are going to stay in place.
The
They are going to be cutting back on those tariffs for certain types of products from China. And like you said, specifically some things like computer chips, electronics, and so on. Those are now going to be exempt from the higher tariffs.
I see.
They're still going to have that. I think some of the initial tariffs. So I think like maybe the 10% or the 24% that they were talking about initially are still going to be in place for those products that they've say sort of exempted from the higher tariffs. Um, Empress NM asked about Chinese food. Well, if you are importing, if you're importing your Chinese food from China, then yes, it will have probably have some high tariffs on it. Um, as far as the actual impact of this so far, yes, there is some impact for some farmers and for a variety of businesses in the U.S. that do export things to China. But as far as I've seen, and from what I have read, and other reactions that I have seen, this has been far more devastating for China than it has been for the US, at least so far, right? A lot of these products now that people are, would buy, hey, we're going to order, 2,000 custom printed t-shirts for our business. We're going to get those from China. They're going to cost us $6 a piece. Well, now those cost $14 a piece, right? To import those and then and to get those from that business. And so now companies are not interested. There's customers are not interested in buying from some of those companies over there. And so there's factories shutting down, sending people home because they can't they can't make their products at a competitive price now with those high tariffs in place, which let's be honest, that was kind of the whole point, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of the whole point. Let's bring manufacturing. Let's make manufacturing back over here. Make that more, you know, more reasonable. Make it something that we can start rebuilding that capacity over here in the US. And we have seen, I know today specifically Honda announced they were going to be bringing more of their production into the US, bringing that out of Mexico, bringing it out of Canada. I think also they had some. They're going to be bringing more of that to the US. There's going to be some other products, things that are going to be able to be brought online pretty quickly. You're going to be able to have small businesses and larger businesses that can expand into different markets and start to fill some of those holes for those what were cheaper Chinese products. There are going to be some things though that it's going to take a very long time for us to be able to actually produce here in the US, and those are going to be things like smartphones, computer chips, the
Which is
processors.
why the tariffs were softened, because those they have, children making them in a dungeon, so it's
uh,
hard for us to compete because we don't have the children to do it or
yeah.
the dungeons.
Well, it's not always children in a dungeon.
Come on,
I'm
it's
not gonna
children's in
say
a
it's not. I mean,
it's children in a dungeon. I mean, I'm not
I
trying
have
to be mean or
seen
anything, but,
I've seen some of the production facilities that are used over there at various places, and the thing is that they just keep talking about, oh, China has the expertise needed to do this. If you've ever seen like the assembly of some of these smartphones and electronics and stuff like that, it's not expertise that's needed, right?
Right.
It is a it's an assembly line. You have somebody that sits there and they have this chip or this part or this wire that they put into this piece of electronics, and they do that over and over and over again, 1,000 times a day, right? We don't have people in the US that want that job. Okay. There's
Well,
there's not many people in the US who would want to do that sort of mind-numbing, wild job, and also put in the hours that they also frequently require people to put in those factories. Like, someone mentioned, Empress, and I mentioned Foxconn and the nets that put around. We're not saying, these people are showing up and working these jobs, and they can show up, they could just work 40 hours and leave, but if they do that, then they miss out on opportunities for better work. They miss out on opportunities for better pay. If they stick around and they work more hours, they're working 60, 70 hours a week, then they're making much better money, and they're able to send more home to their family, and so on. And for a lot of these people, uh they're willing to do that extra work to be able to care for their families. Ken Levine says, it says wrong. It depends on the pay. Auto workers do that every day. Not on the level that I'm talking about in uh, in a lot of these factories. We're talking about very small, very basic detail work, and it is not the same level that you see with the auto workers. They are doing much more than a lot of these sort of factory things are there. But I take your point. Yes, there may be people who are interested in doing
I
sort of that
I
that
think I
work
think
here in
that
the
the
U.S.
idea
But
here is that we haven't been in a position that we're offering these jobs. Maybe we can't get children in a dungeon, but if there's people that have like an honest job that they do, like in a factory, and
sure,
they do it within reasonable hours, like from 9 to 5, and then go home, maybe there's people that would want a job like that. I mean, you can never know for sure. People need to provide money for their family. If it's a job that pays, there are people that would probably take it. Uh, Elizabeth Quinn says she shares Robert Barnes' concern that we don't break China. CCP could distract through moving on Taiwan. Still have massive faith in Trump, the expert and best deal maker on earth. Thought that was interesting.
hmm
Uh, Sean Green says R2 is on a roll, but he's on a wrong roll.
it's a wrong
Well,
role. Well, you know what? I am willing to be wrong. Okay.
well
We all have different opinions, and hey, that's kind of what we have here is a conversation. And so, different people feel different ways. I'm not saying that there's not people who would take these, those types of jobs. I say we don't have them in the numbers that China does. And the type of work that they're doing is different from the type of work that, say, an auto worker is doing. You don't have an auto worker who all day long, the only thing they're doing is attaching a single wire to the stereo system for that car.
yeah,
Right? They're
if
doing much more than that when they're going in and putting things together. So it's a different type, it's a different level of that work. And I don't think there's a lot of Americans who'd be willing to take on that very
I I
mind-numbing level of work.
I would still say that, sometimes work in factories can be boring. You see one of those factory things where they make like a chocolate, and there's one guy taking the tray from like one place to another and placing some chocolate in some machine. I mean, that's a very kind of repetitive job that you do over and over again forever with the chocolates. And there's people that do that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that we know for sure that somebody would or wouldn't want it. I think that China just have the children doing, again, sorry for the metaphor or whatever you want to call it, the children dungeon situation. They pay the children almost nothing, and they also work them from like 6 a.m. to like midnight or something. So for them, they can really offer a lot of very beyond competitive rates. That's how they became, such leaders in putting together these phones and all that crap. But yeah, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe some people would take certain jobs here. Maybe they'd have to pay more here. But you know what I found interesting? I don't know if you saw this, but there were people in China today showing how all these American companies manufacture clothing and bags and things that they sell for a lot of money here in the U.S., but they're
Mm-hmm.
actually all manufactured in China, and then they pretend that it's like a USA product. A lot of interesting things were posted today. I don't know if you happened to catch any of that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't get an opportunity to catch a lot of that stuff. So,
Because I think that,
um,
some of these Chinese companies were trying to stick it to these American corporations by saying,
oh,
"Hey,
sure.
you know, we're manufacturing all this stuff for all this like these big American corporations." Uh, that was going on at some point today. Let me see if I can find some of that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Uh,
I was trying to find a little bit about some of the different tariff levels and stuff. Obviously, China's also been putting reciprocal tariffs in on American goods. I don't know that that's going to hurt us all that much. We sell relatively little to them. I'm sure there are going to be industries. You mentioned farming earlier, that potentially could be damaged by the tariffs. But um, we know that they were pausing some specific tariffs regarding some of the electronics and stuff. And I was trying to find some of the details here as to what electronics were included, but I'm having trouble finding some of the specifics here. Um, let's see.
Here, what's happened is that they're going to like TikTok to post all these videos showing how you can get all these products for cheaper in China. Let me see if I can share this
Okay.
because I've seen a lot of these today, and I was just wondering what you thought about all of that. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Share. Do you see it? Oh,
No.
I didn't
Oh, yeah.
share it.
Presentation mode. Yep. There you go.
Presentation mode. So there were a lot of videos like this on Twitter today that I guess they originated.
This is why this bag from
You hear
our
it?
factory only costs you
Yeah.
$1 USD.
Have you all seen that TikTok by the Chinese guy exposing how luxury goods are actually made? Basically, he says most of the luxury brands we use every day are actually made in China, then shipped to Europe just to get rebranded and sold back to us at insane prices. Like a wedding ring that would cost $2 in China somehow turns into a $2,000 ring. China is the world's biggest manufacturing hub. 80% of your Gucci, made in China. 60% of your Prada, also made in China. Even Chanel, Fendi, Louis Vuitton, Adidas, Nike, you name it. The only real difference? China ships the products to Europe, slaps on a Made in France or Made in Italy label, and boom. Luxury? It's ridiculous. While people are out here clowning Shane and Temu for being cheap and low quality, the expensive stuff you think is handcrafted in Paris or Milan? Yeah, that's made in China too. So what are you really worried about? Come on, your mega hat? That's made in China too.
So there were a lot of videos like these. So there's another one like this guy here. I don't know what to make of it. It almost seems like Chinese propaganda, but it's still interesting.
This Birkin bag at Hermes Boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Muti from Italy. The second is Weinheim from Germany. And the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? The thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat seal edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans. To finish one bag, the human resource cost will be 600 USD. The package, this is not that expensive, it's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil. The only difference is one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of.
I think you get the idea.
Yeah, well, and that's not even surprising. There are many luxury brands that's actually the case. So
I'm
some
sure.
people saying, could be propaganda. Honestly, it could be. But you know why they get so many knockoff brands that ship out of China? It's because the exact same people that are making it in China know exactly how that bag is made. They turn around and make it with slightly cheaper materials, and they don't put the logo on it. And there you go.
That's been that way for many, many years. For
Yeah.
many years, they've been doing that. By the way, Kivo 1961 says, "Greetings from Thailand. Kapunka. Sawadi. Sawadika. They hate the Chinese because they built that building that collapsed from the earthquake." I don't know. I don't
Oh
have a reference to what. Do you know what he's talking about?
no, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess maybe there was a must have been a building in Thailand that specifically that collapsed in the earthquake. I remember seeing something about that. I don't remember if that was recent or not, but there must be a building there that was made by the Chinese.
Many years ago, I spent
Yeah.
some time in Thailand, and there were parts of it that I really, really liked. But the more kind of city areas like Bangkok, not my favorite. If you go to like a shopping center in Bangkok, like I went to a pretty big one, the amount of people that were there, it was a ridiculous amount of people. It felt so overflowed with people. Also, they're kind of their markets. They have a lot of kind of those kind of flea markets and a lot of. I don't know if it's still that way. That's the way it used to be. And
Hmm.
as I've mentioned before on this channel, I also didn't really like that they were eating rat on a stick on the street. That's really my worst memory.
Not the best. Yeah.
It was also it smelled like rat on a stick. You know what I mean? Like if you walk the streets of Bangkok, that rat on a stick, like that's what it smelled like too. I really hope that they've improved it because there was a certain smell to Bangkok that like think about it until this day, and it's kind of very unpleasant for me. I don't know if other people may like rat on a stick and may like that kind of smell. But at the same time, when I started going to those kind of islands like Koh Phangan and Koh Samui and different ones like that, that's when I think that I actually did enjoy myself more. It was a nicer vibe there. Recently, I think I was watching White Lotus, and they were supposedly spending time in Koh Phangan and places like that. But I wonder to myself how different it is today from the time that I was there. I always feel like these things probably were better in the past, and now they're not as good.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what Kivo's talking about here. There was a building that. So I had heard of the recent earthquakes just a few weeks ago in Myanmar. I had not heard of this skyscraper collapse. So this is actually a video of this skyscraper that was in Bangkok that collapsed due to the earthquake. And apparently, this was a skyscraper that was under construction that was being built by the Chinese. So, yeah, people not happy about that. Yeah,
I wasn't aware of all of that, but
no, I had not seen that at all.
I
So,
can't say that I'm fully surprised. Like, I feel it's not nice to say because maybe in some stuff, China is good at putting things together, but there's always this feeling that it's like a quick and cheap way to put it together.
yes,
I don't know if that's fair for me to think that or not, but
Oh.
in any case, that's how I feel.
No, I don't think that's unreasonable.
Sean Green says that China's #1 export was the couve.
Oh yeah, they did export that across a lot of countries.
That was a big export, yes.
Yes, yeah, they didn't pay any tariffs on that.
Kivo 1961 says Bangkok is terrible. I'm in Korat northeast 4 hours, so that's probably a better place to be. I didn't mind the islands. The islands were a lot better, and I was like in a full moon party at Koh Phangan. That was kind of a interesting experience. I kind of like that. I'm happy I did that years ago. There's certain like trips and vacations and things that I took back in the day, and I'm happy that I did that because when you're sort of young and you don't really care about a lot of stuff and you're just kind of with a backpack and walking around, uh, you can put up with a lot more crap than you can once you're kind of where we're at now. I assume that I wouldn't want it to be like full dump. You know what I mean? Like I'd want things to
Sure.
be a little nicer.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a difference when you're traveling in your 20s and just as a regular, more mature adult. Like I presume we both are, sort of. So it's the same with
You
India. I
assume
mean,
a lot, sir.
and then it's the same thing that I had with India. There were places that I would like sleep on the floor and stuff. And yeah, I think that today I would prefer to be in a place that I'm not sleeping on the floor.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
man.
think I did that. It was an interesting experience sleeping on floors. It was really interesting. But
Yeah.
today I kind of don't feel like sleeping on the floor anymore.
Floors and cots and
Also, I prefer like a more official toilet if possible. And
yes.
no joke, no joke. When I was in India, there was like a few, probably close to a month, I think, that I was in one place where if you wanted to take a shower, you know what you had to do?
Dump water on your head with a bucket.
Yeah, actually, you're really that's pretty much a bingo there. But it's funny because I was in this something that looked like a tree house that somebody built, and that was like my fancy quarters. You know what I mean? Where I
Mhm.
think I slept on the floor, and then like leave your tree house for a second, and you just yell hot bucket. And if you yelled hot bucket, there would be some guy there in the village that would like, he'd look at you, he knows exactly what you mean. And then there's like a stove with water, and I guess they'd heat that stove with the water, pour it into a bucket, and then there's like a place where I can't explain it to you. It's not even a real shower. It's like somebody put like I don't know what word to use. You know how there's this kind of green shiny thing?
Mhm.
You know how sometimes on a fence there's this green shiny thing, maybe like in a tennis area or something. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's like a green. It's not exactly cloth. It's plasticky.
Okay.
So I would be surrounded by a green plasticky thing and given a bucket where they heated up the water, and inside the bucket there would be a little cup, and you take the water from the bucket, put it in the cup, and then pour it on yourself, and that was your shower, the
Yeah.
hot bucket.
The hot bucket.
That's how it went. This was probably for a month. That's how I took a
Oh
shower
goodness.
every day. I had the hot bucket, and today, I think I prefer if there's like a shower.
Yeah,
Not to
yeah, I there's some there's just certain things that we come to expect from from living. Yeah, see, I had a friend that actually he went on a mission trip to China, and they were actually in very rural China. This was several decades ago, but in very very rural China, where they were, and they were teaching English and teaching soccer and stuff like that to kids like way out in the really rural part of China. And yeah, they did not have at least most of the time that they were out, that did not have toilets. They had a hole in the ground, and they did not have showers. They had a bucket. That you got a bucket and you poured it on your head. That was what you did for showering, and most of the time that water was just right out of the river, right? That was what you got. So uh they got used to that. Took a little while, but they got used to that. And yeah, I think they were probably sleeping on the floor most of the time they were there. So
Well, by the way,
that
the lovely Sherry is here. Low price of reason. Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you here. And Marks for Seven says it's a tarp, and that's true. It was kind of a tarp, like
yeah.
a green one. And you know what? It's not even one that I feel like really covered. Like I think that if somebody was walking around where that tarp was and really like eager to watch me pour like a hot bucket on myself, they could. It didn't seem like very isolated. By the way, you were talking about a bathroom. I said like the official toilet. I don't want to describe exactly what toilets were like in that same area, but it sort of resembles the story you just told. And
Mhm.
today at this point, I really prefer that it would be like a more official room. I prefer a bed. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be like the Ritz Carlton. You know what I mean? Like just a bed, maybe like a real bathroom, a shower. So you see, I've become spoiled.
Yes.
As
Yes.
I grow older now, like I want the finer things in life, like a toilet where you can flush it.
Yeah, that there's even I had another friend who had a business, and they were partnered with some people in India, and so she would travel there on a regular basis to work with a business there in India. And she said the thing the she got used to the food. She got used to the language, and she said most people there actually that she dealt with spoke English, at least at some level. She
In
got
China?
no, India.
Oh, India.
In
India, they
India.
do speak English,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, most everyone she met with, spoke English good, and at least well enough to communicate. Some of them spoke really solid English. Uh, and so she was regularly traveling to India. She said she got used to the to the crazy spicy food. She got used to the culture around and the people. There was one thing that she never got used to, could never stand, and that was having to squat over a hole, because that they just don't have toilets. They have they just have like holes in the floor, even if there's
Yeah.
plumbing. Right? It's just like that's just what
Yeah, the
they.
hole in the floor is very popular. I've encountered a lot of holes in the floors. I know exactly what that
That
is.
was that was the only thing she could never get used to.
You know, there were it's also in a matter it's a matter of location.
Oh yeah.
There were certain places that I was at, like I think I'm thinking of. There was one place I was at called Kasol, and in Kasol, I for very different for there were people stateside that were kind of worried, and I promised them that I'd try to put myself near a phone where I could call from time to time, and in order to do that, like I found myself staying quote unquote at the time like at the fanciest place that Kasol place had to offer. It would be considered like how sometimes you think of like a Motel 6 or things like that? Way less fancy than like a Motel 6, you know what I mean? Like, the fanciest
Yes.
place where I was at was, like, really, really not fancy, but I will say it did have, like, a bed with a mattress, and it did actually have, like, a real bathroom, and I stayed there because they had a phone downstairs. Again, phoning is like a big production. I sincerely think that probably today things are different because 'cause we're talking a few decades ago, but it was such a production even to go and say you want to make a call, you have to start paying them money and like making the call. But at least I kept my word, and in order to be like next to somewhere where somebody can communicate with me, I stayed at like what was considered there like 5 stars, but anywhere else it would be like half a star at best.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, and we're struggling. We're gonna have to make a trip soon to some very very rural area in Colorado, and we have to be able to stay overnight somewhere. And there is like nowhere to stay except like motels that are like 60 years old.
I see. I once stayed at a was is it a travel lodge? What's it called? I think I once stayed at that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was a bit I mean it was okay, but I think people are like, I can't believe you're staying there. And I'm like, yeah, I
Hmm.
can't believe I'm
Yeah.
staying there either.
This place has basically the rooms are essentially about 15 feet by 15 feet, and then there's a toilet in the back. It's and a shower. I mean, they are the like you know the when you see in a TV show or a movie, they're like the people are hiding out from the cops, so they go stay at the seedy hotel. You know that's what we're gonna have to stay.
The only thing that worries me about the seedy hotels, and don't laugh at me, I feel like such a weirdo now, but things like scabies, like I
Oh
worry
God,
that like bed bugs and
bed
weird things
bugs.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
No, you
feel
know
like they don't
exactly what you mean.
actually do the minimum to
Yeah,
keep those things out of there, and
yeah,
that's what worries me about these kind of more
yeah.
dumpy,
Well,
extreme dump.
this isn't dumpy. It's pretty well maintained. I mean, it's a small town, and not many people come in to stay in this tiny little town, but they take care of it fine. We've had to stay there before on a previous trip, but
If it's
it's just
clean, if
it's extremely tiny and dated and kind of like fallen apart a little bit, but like the sheets and stuff are clean. It's
If it's
you know
clean, then it's fine. You know what I
yeah
mean? If you have a feeling that it's like well maintained, even if it's really old, and they do clean, then that's fine. I don't mind any of that. Like I said, the only thing that worries me is like the bed bugs and the scabies situation. But aside from that, if somebody has some general maintenance of the place and keeps it clean and clean sheets and whatever, should be okay.
yeah yeah.
Sometimes you gotta tough it out.
That
I,
that's
I'm
that's as close as my wife gets to roughing it.
I understand.
We
Again,
tried to go on a camping trip one time and she was out. She was like, "No, I'm not doing it. I'm not." Like, "Okay, fine.
you know,
Whatever."
it's strange because probably up until the age like 25, 26, 27, I've been in every kind of like, much worse situations than you're describing. I've been in suspicious like places in countries where I was in that country in suspicious places, have been out in wilderness, out in like, in the middle of places. I've done a lot of that. But somehow, I don't know if it was like 26, 27. I suddenly like, I kind of just put all of that behind me and became like a snooty snob. Now I prefer again, I don't need the Ritz-Carlton, but I prefer that it like has a certain level. You know what I mean? I just want it to be like at least halfway decent. I grew up. What can I do? I mean,
Yeah. It's just you have requirements now, you have expectations to a certain comfort level that's expected, right?
I'm really minimal, you know what I mean? Like I can put up with stuff, and really I'm not like, that high maintenance, but I want like the minimum requirements if possible. I told you before that there was a time in India that I slept on a floor somewhere. There were a bunch of rats like walking around me, like a lot of them. And I prefer not to be in that situation again, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep.
Speaking of rats, I mean,
Ooh.
when I think of Gene Hackman and rats, you know what I mean? Now
Oh.
I'm like, maybe it wasn't so good that all those rats were walking around me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was, I mentioned that earlier. There's, yeah, they've gotten, to see, then they've released sort of some of the footage, of Gene Hackman's place. I don't know. I think you said you hadn't had a chance to see it. Um,
No, you can share it if you
well,
want, but
oh gosh, I don't even know if I want to. It's so awful. Well, we can take a look at it for a minute and, let me see. Uh, So there were a few things that came out today from some of the investigation now that they've gotten into. First of all, they were looking at Gene Hackman's wife, looking at her computer and looking at her search history, and she had been searching for all kinds of different things like COVID symptoms and stuff like that. You'll remember that they said that she died from the
She
hantavirus,
thought that she had the couve even
and
though she
so
had some. I'm gonna
yeah,
tell you honestly, that thing with the rat poop poisoning is so rare that one
yeah.
has to wonder what was up with that. It just I'm not saying that she couldn't have been legitimately infected by it, but man, that's such a rare thing to be infected by.
Well,
I don't.
that's one of the things that they found, and during while they were looking around. So there's there were COVID tests that she had taken, but there were also they found essentially the property and the home that they lived in were infested with rodents
uh,
that had hantavirus. You could actually there's a little the other
why were
article
they
there.
so infested with rodents?
Well, if you see, we'll watch a little bit of the video. You can see basically how they were living, and it's kind of shocking, honestly, for somebody of Gene
I don't understand.
Hackman's
I mean, it's one
profile.
thing I understand that he had like,
He's guarding her.
um,
The dog? Yeah,
he
he
had
went up to him. He seems pretty friendly, but
So there's this,
like
yeah.
dementia or whatever it is, but she seemed like she was normal, right?
Well, normal is relative.
All right, let's see it. Let's see it.
Oh no, oh, it's jumping. I accidentally.
Pam Bondi's
Um, okay, so yeah, normal is relative. It does appear as some people have said, essentially that she was a very almost sort of a mystical belief kind of person. They bought the home where they did, they lived where they did because she was told by some new age healer that the area was a spiritual nexus and was going to allow them to live healthy lives, which is why they lived where they did. It's kind of separated from people, kind of out on a property far away from others. But you can kind of see that this is some body cam footage from some of the first people that showed up.
right here, he's guarding her.
I see.
The dog? Yeah, AC went up to him. He seems pretty friendly, but and then there's
Hey,
another
Baba.
10-7 dog around the corner in the kennel.
That looks really weird.
Yeah, 10-7 dog around the corner in the kennel. They're talking about the dog that they found in a kennel
Oh.
that was deceased.
When's the last time you heard from her?
2.5 weeks ago.
Is he gonna do anything?
AC went in there. You want to go in first?
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
So I mean, look at the like hoarding kind of stuff going on in the house. Of course, that's blurred out. That's her deceased body
I
where
see.
they found her.
Well, glad they blurred that part out.
Yeah. They don't show any of that, and they don't show the dog, and they don't show Gene. There is the living dog. He's
Living
here.
dog, yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta open a couple windows if we can, just in case.
They should have quickly given him water. What are they waiting for?
Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
They're giving him some attention.
I think he needs water and food quickly. Hopefully they gave that to
So
him.
this is again, you can see like the house
He's
is
actually,
just
I
kind of
don't
a
know how to get there
mess.
through here. If we walk back outside, there's another door.
So he's in a totally separate
Yeah,
spot.
this isn't a good situation. It's really like you said. It's kind of strange that a guy with so much money. This is at the end, like he had some.
I just wanna make sure
He,
he's not like a
he
gap.
got dementia, had a wacky wife, and they lived with a bunch of rats. It's kind of strange. This room doesn't seem that bad.
No, the kitchen area is fine. This is, as they said, sort of in the mud room. This is where they found Gene collapsed.
Do you guys sort photos and stuff?
No, I haven't taken photos yet.
Oh, he said they haven't even taken photos yet. So, yeah, this is definitely the first people on the scene.
Well, this is very sad, but yeah, I'm happy that at least they blurred all of that stuff out.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all that there is in the video there. So, yeah, it's really tragic. It's really sad, but yeah, it seems like everything that some people had assumed early on when they found out about the hantavirus and stuff. I think that whole story starts to come together when you realize kind of how they were living, and they were very isolated.
You don't
And
think somebody, like, tossed that hantavirus into that place? Because it's kind of rare.
no, I don't.
I feel
Um,
listen, I mean, if this
it
was
does
like
exist in these populations out there.
it's very, very rare, though. I mean, think about it. The guy had like $80 million and a bunch of like disgruntled kids. I'm not suggesting that the kids did anything. I'm just saying that, like, if this was one of those kind of movies and it's like a screenplay and I'm writing it, nobody would believe that like hantavirus with the rats, like, everybody would think that there was something else behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
be if I handed you a screenplay and I just said there were a bunch of rats there and they had this disease. I don't know. You'd be like, this movie is really a lot of plot conveniences here, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad. Nevertheless, it's sad. I mean, the guy is such a iconic, legendary actor, and he died like that. And I don't really know much about his wife, but man, that's kind of a very grim way to for everything to have ended for both of them.
Mhm.
And I guess maybe she collapsed first and then he was just confused and it makes things even worse. You just kind of, cease to function.
Yeah, and yeah, when we don't know exactly what state he was in, but yes, when people do, when they deal with dementia like that, often they don't know which way's up. They don't know where they are. They don't know how to deal with changes in the environment around them. It's very sad. So, um, yeah, he may have been in the house for days, not even understanding
Not
that
even
she
understanding.
was dead.
A and
Yeah.
this is the one thing that I have to say, and then I mean, I don't, it's just my personal opinion here. The guy had a number of kids. I know they were disgruntled. I know maybe the relationship wasn't great, but you know what? You have an old father who's sick. The fact that these kids that people didn't call once a week to check in just to see what's up, you know what I mean? Each kid could have taken 1 week a month. You know what I'm saying? Out of the
No,
kids
I know exactly what you're saying, and
that
and honestly, we've had these conversations with myself and my wife about our parents, about making sure that we're touching base with them regularly. And my wife doesn't want to be too overbearing, but at the same time, she's like, I don't want to have to call the police to check up on them to see if they're alive. Like,
Right, but you understand that he had, like, a few
yeah,
kids, so it's enough. Let's
he
say the
did, yeah,
kids are disgruntled and don't even like him. Once a month, you give, like, each kid once a month they make a call, and even if they divided it into, like, each of them calling once a month, they probably would have
yeah,
figured out that something was wrong just just by doing that, you know what I mean? Each
yeah,
kid once a month makes a phone call,
yeah,
even if the kid doesn't, especially it's not in the best, relationship or whatever it is,
yeah,
he's your father, the man is sick, you call once a month. The fact that these kids, he has children, didn't even pick up the phone. I don't know. I know that people can say, "Oh, well, he was a difficult man." I don't know what he was difficult. He was still their father, and they're all now chasing. They all want his money. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
let's just forget about the fact that he's your father and it's the right thing to do to call once a month to see that, like, he's just all right or whatever it is, like the well-being. If you're then going to try to demand like tens of millions of dollars, maybe just even forget about the father part, just like the minimum, even if you're greedy, give a call once a month, just do something, you know what I mean? I guess maybe that goes against what they wanted, but I don't want to say that. I'm
yeah.
speculating here. I don't know what they wanted, but I'm just saying that
Yeah, yeah. It's sad. Unfortunately, sometimes children and parents do, for whatever reason, break off their relationships. They don't have a connection to them anymore. My understanding is that there was something like that. Some level of disconnect there. I think that it sounds like part of it started when they when he got remarried to this woman. The children did not like her, and because of that, he was very upset with them, didn't want to associate with them. So I mean, yeah, it's sad that a relationship like that with between children and parents could come to that, but it's not all that
Even
rare, unfortunately.
even if they didn't like his wife, even if everything you're saying, and sometimes there are those type of feelings. He broke up with his first wife. He then had another wife. Sometimes you have these kind of hard feelings, and I can understand that. Still, as somebody said here, that Sean Green said, You're right, blood is blood," and that's what I think. I think that at minimum, the guy was already sick. Call once a month. Just do the minimum. Don't be complete jerks. That's my opinion. I'm not saying I don't know them, and maybe that you can say, well, you don't know their story, and I don't. I'm just giving my own opinion. Void King says, "Sorry, I'm late. This time I was playing Half-Life 2, an amazing game. I highly recommend." Awesome. Well, it's great that you join now. Uh, Elizabeth Quinn says, in real life case, children married someone the parents disliked. Yeah, I mean, as parents devolve back into children, a lot of things can happen. I wish it would have ended differently. The guy was an accomplished, well liked actor, and he was just a human being and an old man that had health issues, and maybe there was a different way to handle it. That's just my personal opinion. At the same time, I will say this. I don't know what this spiritual lady thought. She was living with the rats and whatever she was thinking. But at the end, this guy had $80 million. With $80 million, you can have like a butler. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying maybe a butler is a strong word, but the guy is old and he's sick. You know what I mean? Maybe
Oh,
you bring a
you
person that's
you have you get a literally a live-in or someone who is a nurse that
a nurse.
visits
Yeah,
daily
exactly.
to
Forget
help
about the butler. The
care.
the butler
Yeah.
was snooty. Okay, that's too much. The butler, but the nurse, you could bring a nurse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, again, I think unfortunately, this was part of the whatever you would call it, belief system, whatever that the wife had about mystic healing and crystals and new age stuff and whatever. So that potentially is why there was not some kind of nurse who was visiting more often. Again, I do not know. That's just
I,
speculation
I
on my part,
understand. I understand that the
but
wife's
yeah,
strange beliefs probably played a role here, and it's unfortunate that she wanted to heal herself with crystals. The guy had Alzheimer's or something. I don't think that there's a crystal that could help with that. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, she could have put some mouse traps or whatever it is. I guess she didn't want to. Not really sure why. Uh, it is rare though, even for that area. I think I was reading there were so few cases in the past 100 years of like that hantavirus. It is extremely rare,
it is.
unless they just had like 7 million rats living in their house. But when they show the video now, I didn't see like a million rats dancing around and do it like sitting around the fireplace like toasting marshmallows. I feel like you know maybe there were a few rats there, but we didn't see them. It wasn't as obvious.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if there were all these rats there, what would these dogs do? The dog was sitting there and you didn't mind. He seemed okay.
Uh, maybe he was out chasing the rats. Who knows?
Maybe he
Right.
chased them outside.
Chased them out, or maybe he brought some of them in as a present. Who knows?
Isaac 556 times 45 says, "Hey, all. Hey, man, how's it going?"
Hey there, welcome.
And Phantom Monk says, "Dude is legend and case in film forever." For me, I agree. He is a legend.
Oh, absolutely. He is, despite his extremely tragic and he's still one of the most incredible actors that has ever graced the screen.
Certainly a
He's
character actor. When it comes to
yes, no
character actors,
question.
just
Yes.
top notch. Sean
Yeah.
Green, sadly, nothing we say will change the fact. I agree.
No.
Caleb Levine
No.
says dancing rats. Yes, they were
Could be.
absolutely dancing rats. They. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep dwelling on this rat thing. It annoys me that at the end some rats came in and then they died. But what can I do? And now again, like I think of the story of me sleeping with the rats like circling me, and I never even thought of this weird hantavirus or whatever it is. Now,
Yeah.
like I never want rats to
Yeah.
walk around me while I
Well,
sleep
and again,
again.
it only exists in certain climates, right? It can only proliferate in certain climates, like, sort of hot climates. So, it's very unlikely to see something like that show up and start spreading in, say, New York City or somewhere that with a large number of rats. It has to be in other populations in other parts of the world. But and like you said, it's still fairly rare when you find it there too. So
It is rare. It is
yeah,
very
it's
rare. So
all
sad that
very
it all turned out that way, but
very sad stuff. Yeah.
not much we can do now, I guess.
Nope.
And I
Uh,
guess
yep. Let's see
we
what
talked about that, which is
something
good.
else. What else can we talk about?
Let's steer
Price. Did
away
you?
from the rats.
Yeah. Did you?
Uh,
Did you see the thing that was happening with the Democratic senators talking about going to El Salvador?
no, what was
No.
that?
Okay.
I
So,
missed that.
well, that we've talked a few times about this guy who was rounded up by the U.S. Customs and Enforcement, and he was rounded up. They said he was an MS-13 gang member, so therefore he could be rounded up and he could be sent off, back to El Salvador. And so, being that he was judged as being a terrorist, he was, it was believed he was a member of the gang. They sent him off, to El Salvador, where he was put in the CCOT prison, that really really high security prison for gang members, and he was sent over there. And then all the judges have been demanding that they send him back. You gotta bring him back because he was not supposed to have been shipped over to this other country. And it was an illegal order to send him there, whatever. So then they've demanded that he be returned to the U.S. and that the president and the group, the judges, have demanded that he be sent back to to the U.S. And then they had the president of El Salvador, who was actually in Washington D.C. just a couple of days ago. So let me see if I can find this.
Yeah, I remember he had a meeting. It's funny because he didn't wear like a full suit. He wore a jacket, but he did wear like a t-shirt. But I guess he's not demanding
He didn't
billions of
wear
dollars.
a tie.
He didn't wear a
But
tie, but at least he wore a jacket.
yeah, yeah. Let's see.
But Trump didn't mind because that guy doesn't annoy him. So he's just like he was
No,
nice.
no, no. So let's see if I can. So they've said essentially like, hey, you got to facilitate. Tell the White House. The judges told the White House, you have to facilitate the return of this man because he should not have been sent out of the country. Well, he's not a citizen of the United States. He is a citizen of El Salvador.
Right.
And so, talking to them, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why would we send someone back who's a citizen of our country? Why would we send him to the U.S.? So this isn't the best video, but this has it. I think this has got it covered. Let me share this.
There's one of Trump's people that was like, listen, 2 judges thought that he was a member of a gang and we're not like going to return him. There was something like that happening. Maybe it's this thing that I saw.
So this is President Bukele, who's the in charge over there in El Salvador. If you don't know, it's actually really fascinating. There's some videos online. There's some stuff you can go learn about. El Salvador has had a huge change in their country in just the last few years, thanks to President Bukele. He
Cracking down on crime, I
has
think.
been severely cracking down on crime and that cracking down on the gang activity there. And this CCOT prison is part of it. They've also implemented a number of other institutional changes in the prisons that they have there. And he has done wonders trying to turn that country around from just a literal hell on earth into a very livable and very peaceful country for the most part. And one of those things has been the changes they made to these prisons. They send, if you're a member of one of these gangs, you are sent to this prison and you're never going to see the light of day again. Other people who've committed less, severe crimes, people who've been dealing in drugs, or people who've been involved in fraud, or any number of different illegal ventures. They're also sent to prison, but their prisons are not like what we do here, where we send people to prison and they kind of waste away in a cell, or they get their time in the yard, or they go exercise, whatever. And most of their time is spent doing nothing. They have a completely different philosophy where they've been turning it to everyone who's going into these prisons, not the CCOT prison. That one is just that's a place where you send the people who are unredeemable, right? To the regular prisons that they would send people to, they have essentially a work program and an education program where people who go into these prisons are learning. They're taking courses taught by the inmates themselves many times. They're learning skills. They're learning to be plumbers. They're learning to be carpenters. They're learning to farm. They're some of them, depending on their skills and the testing and stuff like that, some of them are actually taking courses that are going to qualify them to earn degrees so that they can go out and they can work, more, business type of jobs when they got their sentence over. And the people that are there are working. If they're not working in specifically one of the areas that they're training in, like training to do plumbing and stuff like that, then they're working in, essentially they have workhouses where they put them, where they can learn various other skills. They create all of the uniforms for all of the military and police for the entire country are sewn by prisoners. They create all the the outfits, all of the uniforms that the prisoners have to wear. They make all of that stuff, and everyone is working, everyone is learning, so that when they get their time and they're finished, they actually have skills that can benefit them in the real world when they leave. They're not just sitting around pumping iron and getting in fights. And so it's actually really fascinating what they've done in El Salvador. But this particular, talking to him about, you should send this guy back to the U.S. Uh, it's hilarious. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention. So these people who are in these workhouses, some people say, "Oh, that sounds like like slavery or something," right? The people who actually go and show up in the workhouses, for every day that they work, say doing this, making uniforms and stuff, they get 2 days of credit on their sentence. So
Wow.
if they show up and work every day, or they show up and they train every day, they're getting to cut their sentence in half by actually being active and doing that work. So
Bill S.
it's
Preston Esquire says U.S. prison have job training too, but I've seen video that El Salvador puts out, and it looks more like the gulags. Well,
some of it does. Some of the more prisons for the more violent people, but others not so much. So it, it depends on who you believe, right? On whether you think what some of the stuff they put out is propaganda. I've seen videos by other people that are just like journalists, even YouTubers who've gone there to actually see some of the programs that they've got working there. It's pretty fascinating. But let's watch this video
let's
real
watch
quick
it, yeah.
of Bukele.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposedly not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into our
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to smuggle a terrorist back into the United States.
He was funny.
And yeah, and no, I'm not letting him out. You know, it's kind of funny because honestly, you know, if we're talking about, you know, they sent him over there, he's being looked at. These people who are over there, they know by looking at the tattoos and stuff that this guy's got and whatever, they're gonna know whether he's actually
He
in this
can't
routine
fool
or
them.
not.
He could fool some people here, but I assume that if they sent him to El Salvador and they immediately wanted to put him there, I suspect that maybe there was something about him. I mean, even here in the U.S., a few judges suggested that he was a member. It's just like sort of on a technicality. It seems like they were trying to, make him not deported, but. Unless I'm mistaken, it looks like it's really what people thought he was. It looks like there was a reason to send him
Yeah,
back.
someone else has also made some. I've seen other suggestions too that there might be a reason that they're so insistent that they can't return him to the U.S. and that is that he's not alive anymore. That's also a possibility. Once he went into that prison, that someone shanked him, and that was it.
I have no idea what to say about that. But first of all, anything is possible. We don't know.
Kelly. Yeah.
Kelly Hunt says there was another school shooting. I did see something like that very quickly this evening.
Yes, there was something earlier in Dallas today at a high school, mid-afternoon. Last I heard from that yes, there was someone. Initially, they were reporting it was a very high casualty incident. That was not the case. I believe the last thing that I heard was that there were 4 injuries, no fatalities. I don't really know anything more about that other than I do believe that they were still looking for the suspect last time I heard. I don't think that they got them at the scene. That he or that whoever it was there and then immediately fled.
By the way, and I just because it's on this list of thing that you're showing, do I even want to know what Biden's colored kid comment is?
Oh God, no.
What did he do now? He's still talking to people? Is this new, or is it something that they found from years ago?
Wow, I don't know. I'll take a look at that in a second. I was looking at another tab here, so looking at talking about the shooting in Dallas, Wilmer Hutchins High School. They did identify the suspect, 17-year-old Jakirian Rhodes Ewing. He's been identified. He is to this point, I believe, has not been apprehended. So.
So he's on the loose.
Guess so, because I don't see anything about him.
I see.
He said he's been identified.
I did also see what it says there, that they've been really trying to pump up this AOC. She had a record thing. She raised $9 million in like a quarter or something like that. Now, I'm not saying that that's nothing, but I don't know where this money came from. And man, I mean, I don't want to underestimate anybody. I know we've had this conversation before. I don't think very highly of AOC, obviously.
No.
But at the same time, I never underestimate people, kind of being swept away or being bamboozled by some candidate. She may not be like the sharpest tool in the shed, when it comes to her politics or even talking about issues and stuff, but she knows how to maneuver social media and PR and things like that. She does know how to do that. So I wouldn't completely dismiss her. Like, I never dismiss anybody. If you don't take, people seriously, you may be underestimating them. So I personally, I don't know how to feel. Like, I obviously am not a fan of hers, and I hope that she wouldn't become president, because I'm not a fan of her at all. But I also, like, stop short of completely just, like, laughing her out of the picture, because you never know. You never know what people will do. But what's this?
Oh
Democrat
yeah.
senator says he's
Okay, so yeah,
traveling
this
to.
is continuing on the story about so now because essentially the president has said okay, they said we have to facilitate his return. We'll provide a plane. But I don't have the authority to to order him released. This is another country. So all we can do is ask. If they're not going to release him from the prison, then I, there's nothing I can do, right? So there's been various different opinions saying, "Oh, you're defying the court order, whatever, constitutional crisis." Blah. Uh,
I
El
love that
Salvador
Phantom
said,
Monk has the "This is fine, dog." I've
"Oh
never
yes,
seen
yeah."
that.
Oh
Never
yeah,
seen
no,
that
yeah,
in kind of an emoji. But go
that's
on.
an emoji on Rumble. Yeah, I love that. This is fine, dog. I actually have on my office desk. I have a little uh burning burning garbage can, burning dumpster fire that has the "This is fine" label on the front of it. It's an actual product from the original artist that made that. Okay, so we'll watch this video real quick. This is now, because now there's these senators are saying, well, you're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're going to travel to El Salvador and demand the release of this metal worker from Maryland who was deported illegally. Right. So, yeah.
Senator Van Hollen. Senator, thank you for your time. You requested this meeting with President Bukele while he's in D.C. Is the meeting set? Have you heard back?
Kate, it's good to be with you. I did request it. I've not heard back from the president of El Salvador. And as I said in that letter, if I don't hear from him and Abrego Garcia is not quickly returned, I do intend to go to El Salvador this week to show solidarity with his family. As you indicated, the Trump administration itself has admitted that he was abducted and sent to this prison in error, and he should get his due process.
Senator Van Hollen. Senator, thank you for.
So not just Van Hollen, but a few different senators and representatives on the Democratic side have said that they are planning to travel to El Salvador. Now, I'm going to laugh really hard when they get arrested over there for doing something illegal.
This is all just, like, dumb. I mean, at the end of the day, was this guy that they deported, was he here, illegally?
He was here illegally.
So, I mean, basically, you can just deport a guy, and if it turned out that he had some kind of background as a criminal, if he was not a criminal, I don't think that they would have put him in a jail. I think that if they put him in a jail, they must have thought that he was a criminal. I mean, I don't really know. I suppose strange things have happened, and I don't know for sure 100%, but that's what I tend to think. And I don't know why what the obsession is. There's too many with these kind of far left people. This obsession with, like, people that dislike America. And I'm saying that mildly, just not to get in trouble with some platforms. But you know what I'm trying to say. There's some people that are very anti-West, anti-America, whatever, and they're here. And you see these kind of far left people weeping about them all day. Now, I've said to you before that there have been a few instances where maybe some person that they sent away. In that specific case, I kind of thought to myself, it's good they sent that person away. But at the same time, it does kind of open the door moving forward. If not this president, whoever would be in power, sort of sets a precedent that people can just be booted out. I would hope that it wouldn't create a situation that people that don't need to be booted out get booted out. And I'm not talking today or tomorrow. I'm talking more down the road. But that's a whole different conversation. A lot of the people that we've seen being booted out now, they didn't seem like very good people to me.
Not to me either. Did not seem like good people. Again, this was someone who was illegally here in the United States. Whether
I
you want to
see
argue
Nick here.
one
Beef
thing,
stroke me off. I don't.
I love beef. Excuse me. I love beef stroganoff. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
hey there, Nick. It's good to see you,
hey
buddy.
Nick.
I popped over into their him and Mark's stream reviewing the latest episode of Daredevil earlier this
Yeah,
evening.
I was in the chat there for a bit at the beginning, but
Yeah, I mean, I was in there a little bit later, but yeah, yeah. We got anything else to talk about with this?
No, I think we're
thing?
pretty good. And
Yeah.
and speaking of Daredevil, and that's a good kind of transition. If you did you watch the season finale of Daredevil?
I did. I've watched every episode this season. I managed to sneak in. Had a pretty busy evening, but we got home just in time. I was like, how long is it? 52 minutes, whatever. I was like, all right, I got it. I got this just right before we get here for Night Owl. I'm gonna squeeze it in. So, yeah, I managed to squeeze that in this evening. So, what were your thoughts, Bryce?
You know, it was another case. I feel like I've consistently felt the same throughout this entire season. It was a season where things were happening sometimes that I liked and sometimes there were things that I didn't like. And somehow there was like I was being served both of the things at the same time. I there were parts of this episode that I liked. I liked seeing Matt and the Punisher together
Yeah.
in a situation that they're actually kicking some ass, kind of like that. I always like to see Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. I throughout the season have liked the idea that he's the corrupt mayor. In situations that he's just kind of a the way he is, he manages to kind of amuse me while he's being so like kind of evil. Vincent D'Onofrio really still delivers that, and I really love his performance. I really like Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. These are things that were still strong this season. It's just that this season felt a bit uneven, not even a bit. It felt very uneven and at times unfocused, and that really is the part that is the missed opportunity here, because there were enough pieces of the puzzle here to produce like a really good season of television, and instead it was kind of like an okay season. That's how I felt, and the finale didn't change my opinion about it. I kind of left the finale feeling the same way. How did you feel?
I thought this episode was really uneven. Of course, the whole season was really uneven. There were certain parts of the plot that made very little sense to me. I'm not sure if that's because it was sort of chopped together from new and old footage. I'm not sure if that's because there's intentionally something that we've been left out on that we're supposed to find out in the second part of the season. As remember, they're saying season 1 and season 2, but this was all written as one long season, and they just decided to chop it in half.
Well, I mean, what's obvious about this part, and I hope that the second part that we watch isn't going to feel this way. These 9 episodes, whatever this was basically, you know how a lot of times we saw those kind of Marvel movies and Captain America and all those that they keep doing reshoots. Out of all the stupid things that they did reshoots for, including their shows, I think that this one is the one that came out the best. Meaning, in spite of all the reshoots, it was at least watchable. But the reshoots are there. The trying to put together Frankenstein's monster of a show is there. And that's why the show, to me, feels uneven. Obviously, there's certain moments that I like and certain ideas that I enjoy. But there's some parts that like you said, there's something about how it all comes together that feels like kind of off and strange. Why exactly did Vanessa want Poindexter to kill Foggy? I didn't really understand 100%. I guess he found out about the port, but wouldn't people know that a port like that exists anyways? Like, what was his big revelation about this port that would cause like her to go send somebody to kill him? something about all of that didn't quite connect for me.
Yeah. That was
Karen, you could tell that this is part of reshoots because initially Karen Page wasn't even here. I don't know if Frank Castle was here, so suddenly they just like threw them into the mix. I actually like that. Seeing Frank Castle and Karen and Matt together doing stuff, I kind of like that. But
Oh yeah.
man, there were things that didn't fully make sense. I agree with you.
Yeah. It was good to see Karen back. Although she's like, "Oh, I jumped a plane as soon as I heard." I'm like, "How far away were you, woman?"
Right, exactly. Like
All
where
of this
where
like
was
happened in the
she?
past few hours. How'd you get here?
Right.
That was interesting. I don't remember where she was supposed to be. I don't remember
Right,
them
and there's like a
talking about that
power
earlier
outage.
on.
How's she? Oh, maybe she already heard about it before because she
Yeah.
heard on the news that Matt was shot. Listen, it was a lot of strange whatever, but like I said, the part that he's at his apartment and like Frank Castle is there, I kind of like that. That was like a highlight for me.
Yeah, I
The
did like that. Yes.
that I liked. They gave me that moment that like, and I'll also give credit that when like the Punisher kills people and does stuff, they weren't like making him like the rated G Punisher. He was killing people. He was killing them, and he was being like Frank Castle, and that didn't bother me.
No, it felt that really felt as I've told you, I've been watching back from the Netflix seasons. So I actually just finished up season 2 yesterday, which I had not actually seen all of season 2 before. So ready to move on to tackle season 3 soon when I get the time. But season 2 spent a lot of time with Frank Castle, right? So watching this and seeing him back and seeing him, doing his thing and being the Punisher, it felt really authentic to his performance from the earlier season.
He was a highlight for me. I felt
Yeah.
that he was a highlight. John Bernthal as Frank Castle, I really like his portrayal. That was a highlight for me. And in general, just having him around and Karen Page, even for the scenes that they were in, that gave me a feeling like we were getting some of that vibe back. But the whole situation with Heather, I don't like that. I don't know if I'm supposed to not like that character, and it's just by design. I don't like her. I'm just, as far as I'm concerned, like she could disappear, and we'd never hear about her again, and that would be fine. I
Yeah.
really don't have anything. The other lawyer that he works with, it feels like they didn't really know what to do with that character that was a leftover from the original like filming. And I feel like throughout the whole season, she's just kind of there to like for very basic exposition from time to time, but they don't really know what to do with that character with all the reshoots. I wonder if she had a bigger role at some point. I don't really know. Also, the thing that Matt suddenly remembers, first of all, I find it hard to believe that he would have never looked at Foggy's files until now, and he never did the thing. That seemed weird to me. The thing that, like, at the end, she's like, I'm putting together an army for you. And then there was, like, a few, like, I don't know. He's at that bar with some of those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. There was a few things that I wasn't sure how to feel about it. But I'll tell you stuff that I did like. Kingpin, I like Vincent D'Onofrio. Just like him in the role.
Yes.
I didn't like that they made him with Vanessa in the affair this season. That was a low point, but Vincent D'Onofrio still was great as the Kingpin. I can't take that away from him. Another thing that I actually enjoyed this season is James Gandolfini's son. I feel like I liked what they were doing with that character. I like that he's trying to impress the Kingpin and be like a douche. I didn't
Mhm.
mind that. I like James Gandolfini a lot. The son kind of reminds me of him,
Yeah.
and I'm rooting for him. So I kind of liked what they were doing with him. But at the end, I don't know how much all of this was coming together as much as there were certain moments and scenes and situations that I like. And that's probably how I feel a lot about this season.
Yeah. I mean, I think as we've said before, this is by far one of the best things that they've done with Marvel Television to this point.
This
But
is the
it's
best
still not
Disney
good.
Plus. Disney Plus has not done anything better than this. This is the best that Disney Plus can do.
Disney
Now,
Plus, yeah.
now even this is flawed and has issues, and it had a lot of reshoots and this kind of weird patchwork, which makes the show feel uneven. And even with all of that, this is still the best that they've ever produced. This is the best piece of television that this streaming service has ever produced. And still, it doesn't hold a candle to those original 3 seasons on Netflix. They were much better than this show. Because I'm invested in the original series and I like these characters and these actors playing them and things like that, there's enough here for me to keep me interested. But at the end of the day, this show for me felt like an uneven missed opportunity, even though I didn't hate it.
Yeah, yeah. It is not reaching the levels of the original show. Not even close. I do very much still enjoy Charlie Cox. I enjoy Vincent D'Onofrio in those roles. I think they work well. I'm really happy that they were able to bring back just forgot his name. Punisher. They were able to bring him back for that role to play Frank Castle, to play the Punisher. I know initially he had said that he had no interest in returning. I think that was probably wise on his part to say, no, Marvel's a dumpster fire. I don't want to come back. But I was very pleased to see him there. I thought like he stayed totally true to the character as he played that character in the second season. And I really John Bernthal, right? Yeah, I think he did a fantastic job. And honestly, I really like him as an actor. He's very intense, and the role of the Punisher, he just fits that role like a glove. It's great. And so, yeah, seeing him in the episode, he was the Punisher. He was not in any way nerfed for Disney Plus, right? He's brutally cutting people up, shooting them, doing whatever. There are some things that that did not make sense to me, especially near the end of the episode where he decides to go and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but
Before you continue, Nick, I
yeah.
sent you a link if you wanted to join us. I don't know if you saw that. I know you may be tired eating beefaroni and stuff, but
yeah.
Also, One Dirty Bird gave us a $2 Rumble rant.
Yes.
He said, "Hi guys, hey One Dirty Bird."
Hey
and
there.
Now, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, we also got if we want, we also got a super chat over on YouTube.
That's right. It's the Dead Man.
Yes.
And let me see if I can share that one so people can see it. So, the Dead Man wrote, "What do you throw a drowning guitarist? His amp."
I mean, he needs something, right? He needs.
I mean, I'm trying to think about this. If you throw him his amp, he drown. Like it. That's pretty heavy. He drowns. I feel like there's some bit of this thing that I didn't fully understand. The Dead Man. I didn't quite get it. Although, unless you just want him to die and then you give him his amp, but that's fine too, I guess.
Toss him the amp. Well, sorry, I got the sniffles tonight. It's really,
that's
really
okay,
bothering me. Yeah. Overall, I mean, I know there's been quite a few people who've just sort of checked out of this show, and I can't blame them. I've been keeping up with it simply because I do have Disney Plus and I can watch it. So, I mean, I watched all the way through The Acolyte. I mean, this is nothing compared to that, right?
No, this wasn't like I wasn't suffering watching it. I can just say that by the end of this thing, I thought to myself, there was so much potential here to do something that's more than okay. This is okay. This could have been actually excellent. And I think that it stops short of being excellent. Very much stops short. I mean, I would say it's okay. And on a Disney level, like on Disney Plus level, it's fantastic. On a just regular level, especially if you compare it to the original Netflix show, it's just okay with a lot of uneven parts. I saw that Nick was saying here, maybe he went to sleep, but I was seeing some of his comments. And yes, the director of the 5th episode, the one with the bank, that was the episode that the director actually of the episode said on a podcast that he had the only episode that wasn't tinkered with. They filmed an episode and they kept it intact the way it was. So that was the only episode that they didn't change anything about. It was left over from the original filming. All the other episodes were basically a combination of older footage and newer footage stitched together. And considering, if I compare it to like Captain America Brave New World and the Marvels, they did a better job with this than they did with those. But still, something about it doesn't feel 100%. Even if it's something you can't put your finger on it, something about the pacing and the jumping from one thing to another, and you always feel like that there was a lot of patchwork. Unfortunately, even though it's some of the better patchwork that Disney has done, it's still there's patchwork.
Yeah, it still feels assembled, right? It just sort of took pieces from this and that and added these things and mixed up some of the material from episode to episode. Uh, I have some issues with the plot as well. We don't have to get into all of that. Not necessarily just this
No,
episode,
you
but
can say
for
whatever you
the
want.
whole season. There's things that don't feel
Hector
don't feel
Ayala.
authentic.
Hector Ayala was introduced and they got rid of him. Muse was introduced and got rid of him.
And then they got rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like everything was happening so quickly here. Then there's this guy, then there's that guy, and there's coming and going. The only thing that sort of the most consistent thing for me, and maybe it's a lot because of his performance, Wilson Fisk as the corrupt mayor. I like that. And like I said, the young Gandolfini working for him, I like that little arc of him, like, starting off and trying to get like an opportunity and by the end being like a big douche. I feel like that worked. And Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk as the corrupt mayor, I like that too. Those were two things that were working for me, even with all of their weird reshoots. Matt Murdock, obviously, I love his portrayal as Daredevil, but man, they did a lot of strange things with him. It really, his story felt the most uneven to me.
Yeah, it feels really inconsistent. Where it's like suddenly, oh well, he's just okay with throwing a guy off a roof and killing him, and then later on, he can't be the Daredevil anymore because he's afraid he's gonna lose control, and it's like, huh? What?
Right, he can be, and then he is the Daredevil, and then he isn't Daredevil.
And then he's doing it, but he's afraid he's gonna
not
lose
doing
control.
it. Yeah,
But
that is because initially I think they didn't even want him to be Daredevil. They just wanted to sit around and talk about his feelings or something.
Probably.
And then when they understood that was a mistake, they're like, well, how do we keep the feeling that he doesn't want to be Daredevil but still make him Daredevil? And also Poindexter, a bit weird in this thing, like that whole storyline didn't fully fall into place, and with Vanessa and her doing the boss stuff, she's the head of the criminals, there was a lot of things here that were all over the place. It's sad because I think that whoever came to do the cleanup maybe knew something. They weren't as bad as the original people, but because like there were two teams, there's never a clear vision. I really wish that Kevin Feige would have scrapped everything, rewritten, gone back to formula, and just started everything from zero, from scratch, and done it proper. And he didn't. He made it seem like he was, but he didn't really. And that's unfortunate because that's really probably the reason why this show wasn't as good as it could have been. And I don't know what's going to happen with the second part of it. Who knows if the second part doesn't also have stuff that they kept from the leftovers.
Yep. I don't even know like what to think for the second part of it, because now you've got, now Wilson is in control of the city. He's, he is Mayor Kingpin now, and now he's like reconciled with his wife, and they're both good with what they're doing. And yeah, there was the details about okay, so the port is a free port, and they're taking control of it so they can build a big center there, which basically would make it so that they can just do whatever they want. Like I don't think that's how that works. That we're just going to build a building here in this port, and now
right, there's no taxes, no customs, no nothing. You can just do whatever you want. Here's a building.
We're going to build our own country in
they
here.
Support they have their own country, of course.
Interesting. Okay. that is supposedly the rationale behind why she targeted Foggy, was because he knew about this. If this is like public paperwork, like there's lots of people who could know about that. There probably are lots of people who know about that. It makes no sense that, he dug up this really mysterious thing that nobody knew about, because that would be like, I mean, part of that area operating would be
Right, everybody knew about
everyone
it.
would know that because
Right, it couldn't be a secret. Like, what could he possibly have figured out? He was saying something that Matt Murdock and other people already knew. So what was the big secret here that they would now like send somebody to kill him? That's why something here doesn't connect. Uh, I mean, I'm very happy that they got rid of the phony Vanessa actress and brought the real one back. But I don't know what they were doing here with her. It was all over the place as well.
yeah, it didn't really.
She is actually one of those things. With her, it's obvious. They filmed with a fake Vanessa for several episodes until they brought back the real episode, the real Vanessa. And I wonder what the storyline was with the fake Vanessa. I don't even know. You know what I mean? So they may have like just tried to slap back on, make her incorporate her into this story, and that aspect kind of never exactly worked for me. Something felt off about it, and I really like the actress and the character, and I like the relationship with Fisk on the Netflix show. Uh, I'm happy that they brought her back. I just feel like something there didn't work 100%. And like I said, I don't know if it's intentional that I can't stand that Heather woman or it's not intentional. But if they wanted to make an unlikable woman that nobody cares about, then they somehow managed to do that. And I almost feel like that was left over from the original weird crap that they were doing.
Yeah, I have no clue where they're going with that character, but no, she is definitely not likable at all. Elizabeth Quince over on Rumble says, with no idea what you're talking about, can say you definitely aren't selling it.
I also like that High Life
we're
said,
not trying.
big fan, guys. Keep it up. We
Yeah,
appreciate
I
it.
appreciate
We're
it.
talking about Daredevil Born Again. That's sort of kind of supposedly the fourth season of Daredevil, of what was the original Netflix show, but on Disney Plus. It's supposed to be a direct continuation, but man, uh, it is a complicated thing. And with everything bad that I said, I still can't write it off. It's not that I hated it. I didn't sit every time and sit there and say, "Oh, like I'm looking to hate it. I'm looking to hate it." If something is mildly even entertaining for me, or I think it's okay, I'm not afraid to say it. And I think that this was a very okay situation. Not very good, not excellent, but not completely unwatchable or terrible. Just okay. And yeah, I mean, at the end, I think people are expecting a show like this to not just be okay, but to be excellent, to be spectacular, because that's the level we were accustomed to. So when it's that kind of drop and it's just okay, I can understand why some people wouldn't be happy. And I think that's the best way to sum up what we went through here.
Yep. Just not top tier TV. Definitely not the best that we've seen from Marvel, especially when you go and you consider everything that came out with Netflix. Those early seasons of the shows on Netflix were fantastic. They were compelling.
Fantastic. Some of
The
the
stories were
best.
solid. Honestly, a lot of people told me that season 2 is the weaker of the 3 seasons. I can see why, but I still very much enjoyed it.
I liked it too. Don't get me wrong. I like season 1, 2, and 3 of Daredevil. Absolutely like it. But there were some parts in season 2 that I just felt a little bit scattered, but I didn't hate it. Still better than this thing. Better than Born Again for sure.
Yeah.
Like season 2, whatever criticism I had, it's just that once you see season 1 and that's like perfection, and you see season 2, which is pretty good but not perfection, it kind of you can criticize, but it's much better than what we saw here with Born Again. And season 3 for me of the Netflix show for me was a return to form in the sense that it was close to season 1, even though not as good, but it was getting close to season 1.
Yeah.
But regardless, those 3 seasons on Netflix, that's the real deal. And season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, that is one of the best seasons of television I've
So
ever seen
so well done. Yes.
in any genre, in anything you want, not just comic book. That is such an amazing season of television. And man, I mean, Disney with all their crap, they had 7 years, with all their stupid bureaucracy and politics and fights with Netflix and whatever it is. And after 7 years, all they could do is like a ton of reshoots and to deliver something that was just okay. And I think that's why some people are disappointed, and I can understand that too. But there's worse things that happened to me than me watching that show. But I did want to ask you, I don't know if you saw this, that you know, Pete Hegseth's advisor was fired or escorted out of the Pentagon or
I
something.
think I saw that he was put on administrative leave, or
They actually it was
something,
had
yeah.
something to do with leaks. So I wanted to ask you, did that have something to do with the signal conversation thing, or was it something
I
else?
believe so. Let's see. Where did I see something on that earlier today? Yeah, he here we go. Here's a tweet regarding that. Oh no. Let me share it, please. Screen share. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, this is Dan Caldwell, who was an aide to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, removed from the Pentagon following his identification in a leaks investigation per Reuters. So yes, I do believe this has something to do with the investigation into the whole signal thing. It could be something different. It could be a different leak. I don't know. I would have to look and see if there was something, some other investigation. That's the only one that comes to mind, though. Had you seen anything else?
No, I just saw that he was escorted out on administrative leave, and there was some kind of leaking. So I just had wondered if anybody said any more about that, but maybe there wasn't any more. But do you think that this reflects poorly on Pete, or do you think that this is a situation that this person is going to be dealt with, and that'll be it?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, there can be things that are happening without his knowledge, but I do also think that Democrats will try and hang this around his neck any way that they possibly can. They do not like Pete Hegseth. They do not like anyone that was an appointee of Trump. Right? Anyone is up for is up to be their next target. Here's the actual. We can look at the actual Reuters story here. That was coming from. So, one of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's leading advisors, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon on Tuesday after being identified during an investigation into leaks at the Department of Defense. Caldwell was placed on administrative leave for an unauthorized disclosure. Okay, so this does not sound like this had anything to do with Signal. With everything going on there, it sounds like this was something else, a different investigation into leaks. It says investigation remains ongoing. Trump's administration has moved to aggressively pursue leaks, an effort that has been enthusiastically embraced by Hegseth. A March 21 memo signed by Hegseth Chief of Staff Joe Casper requested an investigation into recent unauthorized disclosures of national security information involving sensitive communications. So, yeah, this is something outside of the Signal thing. These are other leaks that were happening inside of the Pentagon. And so this was part of investigations into that. So it doesn't seem to be any indication here as to what the leaks were involved in. Let's see. But it does say, it says, talks about the signal disclosed last month. Hegseth named Caldwell as the best staff point of contact for the National Security Council as they launched strikes. Caldwell had drawn attention to the Washington Post's past views that critics have called isolationists, but which advocates sought to right-size American defense priorities. Marine Corps veteran who deployed to Iraq, Caldwell, was quoted saying before going to the Pentagon that America would have been better off if the U.S. troops had just stayed home. I think the Iraq War was a monstrous crime. Okay. All right. So, yeah, it might have some connection. The investigation may have some connection then back to Signal, since apparently he was involved in that. But it sounds like this was something separate, some sort of separate, unauthorized disclosure that he was involved in. So, okay, interesting. We'll have to see where that goes from here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, there's that guy. Gosh, trying to think what other things that I happened to come across today. I saw you had something here about dogs. Right.
Yes, I saw something today. I have to find it. So apparently, like the Guardian, and then other kind of very far left publications started kind of signal boosting this. Uh, I guess the Guardian published some article that it's claiming that dogs are bad for the environment or bad. They cause like climate change and global warming. And some people thought that the reason this is coming from the Guardian, I don't know if this is true. There's a certain religion where, where dogs are not well received. So some people thought that this whole study was actually to cater to that religion. It's
Okay.
all very strange to me. Let me see if I can find this thing, the Guardian and these dogs. I actually looked at it. It was really strange.
Yeah, if you want to look that up here, I can share something else. We can just sort of chat about this while you're looking that up. Have you seen some of the news about projections for Thunderbolts?
No, what's going on with that?
So right now, several groups are projecting that Thunderbolts is going to perform worse than Brave New World.
Wow.
Initially, a lot of people had said that Thunderbolts was, in fact, maybe the better of the movies that they were coming out with this year. It was going to be a more enjoyable film, but apparently, good or not, it is not getting the attention that they were hoping for, and is on track. So by all available metrics, Thunderbolts is shaping up to be a full-scale alarm bell for Walt Disney Company. The anti-hero ensemble film, originally hyped as a gritty, edgy answer to Marvel fatigue, is now on track to become one of the lowest grossing movies in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Potentially the lowest, depending on how ticket sales shake out in the coming weeks. So yeah, we do know that we've seen some pretty poor performers from Disney so far this year, especially Marvel, where we saw the Brave New World come in at one of the worst performing films that we've seen in the Marvel Universe to date. Had a terrible premiere and did poorly over the coming weeks as well. So very likely that film is losing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for Disney in the end. Right now, Box Office Pro, Thunderbolts is tracking for a domestic opening weekend between 63 million and 85 million.
What was the budget for it again?
So the budget for this one was let's see. I remember looking at it. I think it was around 200. Let's see. Let's see if I can find something here. Yeah, approximately 200 million. Right. If box office projections show this opening weekend projections between 63 and 85 million, that would mean that likely in the end, it's probably going to make somewhere between 400 and 500 million, right?
Well,
So
at least maybe it's not going to be as big of a disaster as
yeah,
like Brave New World.
they potentially could make back their money. Now, once you put in marketing and stuff, yeah, probably not. but they potentially could end up making back their budget at the very
Hey,
least.
Ron Donofero, his wife is in China. I did not know that.
Oh my, yes.
Okay. Sorry, go
In
on.
China. No, that's fine. Yeah. So this is I'm not honestly that surprised by this. Uh, I don't think that these characters are going to be a draw for
I have heard
people.
rumors, and this is all with a grain of salt, that out of all the crap that Disney has released, that this one may not be as terrible. Although I have no way to know if these rumors are true or not.
Of course.
If at least it comes out and some people, there's some word of mouth, and let's say this is true, that it's not a complete disaster, and there's something about it that's at least mildly entertaining, maybe it'll drop less than, let's say, Captain America or that kind of Snow White situation. Maybe some positive word to mouth could do something, if that's even true. If not, it could be, between the worldwide take, maybe because of its budget being lower than Brave New World, maybe there'll be a situation where it could not even fully cover its budget, but maybe at least a lot of it. Maybe it won't be a complete embarrassment for Disney, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I haven't seen it. If I go see it and it's like a complete turd, then forget about all of that. I mean, if it's a turd and everybody hates it, that's not going to happen. So it has to be like pleasantly, surprisingly decent for this thing to like perform in the way we just said, I think.
Yeah, if this gets bad word of mouth, you can kiss that 400 goodbye, right? People aren't going to bother. It doesn't have a recognizable cast for most people. A lot of these are they're secondary characters from even movies that weren't that popular. Really, the only one here that is a mainstay character from the Avengers and the previous films would be Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier, right?
I I would have, if I had to market this movie, I would have first of all put him like front and center on the poster, like in a big way, and I would have like made this a Winter Soldier movie. You know what I mean? Winter Soldier, make him the focus of it, show him doing cool stuff in the trailer, maybe putting together a crew. Yeah, maybe there was a way to, because he's really the most likable factor here. With all due respect, I don't think anybody cares about Florence Pugh as like Yelena or whatever. I have never liked that character. It annoyed me like she annoyed me in Black Widow, and and she still kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
She's not the worst thing to ever happen, Florence Pugh. She's a decent actress. I don't hate her, but man, I don't like this Yelena thing to begin with. And some of these, I like David Harbour. I think he's great. I really like him in Stranger Things. In this role, I don't love him. Some of these other people, Task Ma'am, I really don't give a shit about any of these. Sorry, Sean. All they needed to do was put like the Winter Soldier and focus around him, and maybe they would have had a better shot here. But what do I know? Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what happens. This is the one that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And Tex
It
Rogers
is
says
indeed,
if
yeah.
it's not a complete disaster, maybe it'll be an incomplete disaster. Tex Rogers is a friend of the channel. It was nice to see you here.
Yeah.
Granola Grin says Kevin
Incomplete
Costner
disaster.
scripting dances with direwolves as we speak. That is good to know.
They're not direwolves.
By the way, if you guys are watching this stream on like Rumble, on the Rumble app, and you're not already signed up for Rumble, you definitely should sign up. It's free. And once you do that, we also recommend that you follow us so you also get notifications and know when we do our streams. In addition, any other platform that you're on, if you're watching on YouTube, wherever it is, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, you should definitely subscribe. And also, for the same reason, you should get notifications and, up to speed with whatever we're doing. So that would be cool. And I guess I found this article with the dogs. Like I said, the rumor is that the reason why this new narrative is being built up, especially by far left people, is because I guess there's, like I said, a certain group of people that don't like dogs. I know this sounds really strange, but that's what people are saying. So I'm just relaying. And this was the article in The Guardian. And The Guardian, and this is just my personal opinion, is not like a publication that I put a lot of faith in. I am not a huge fan of this publication
No.
personally, and that's to put it mildly. So, Pet, do you see this thing that I shared?
Yes.
Pet dogs have extensive and multifarious impact on environment, new research finds. They made this whole big thing about it. Scale of environmental damage attributed to huge number of dogs globally, as well as lax or uniform behavior of dog owners. This is such a random, out of left like field article. And do you know the group of people? You know what I'm saying? The people that don't like the dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's a lot of people that don't like dogs in England these days, and in other locations. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know if it's connected. People believe that this article and other places that were sort of amplifying it are all that idea in mind. Dogs have extensive and multifarious environmental impacts, disturbing wildlife, polluting waterways, and contributing to carbon emissions, new research has found. Yep, that's the problem we have in the world. It's some dogs farting. You know,
Mhm.
if you wondered why
Absolutely,
there
yeah.
was like, if you believe in global warming and you wanted to know why it was happening, it is now they've settled it. It's because dogs like to fart. Did you know
That's
that, Professor?
it's gonna cause, the hole in the ozone to open up again,
They're
right?
gonna do a new hole in the ozone layer.
The
I'm
the
waiting.
dog hole, the
I'm
dog
waiting.
fart hole.
I'm waiting for the ozone layer to make a comeback, for the hole to make a comeback, because it disappeared so quietly. It was the biggest thing that ever happened, and then it just one day disappeared.
Just there
Nobody
it
mentioned it
goes.
again. An Australian review of existing studies has argued that the environmental impact of owned dogs is far greater, more insidious, and more concerning than it is generally recognized. Now, Australian themselves are weirdos these days. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
this kind of thing with the Guardian and their weird agenda and trying to pander and whatever they're doing along with these Australians. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Australians very much, and up until maybe like 5-10 years ago, Australia was a place that I really wanted to go and hang out at. It looked like a fantastic place. It's just in recent years something weird is going on there. So I don't know why they're doing that research there and what they have with dogs. This is all very weird. While the environmental impact of cats is well known, the comparative effect of pet dogs has been poorly acknowledged, the researchers said. So wait, cats are bad too?
Well, I'm sure what they're talking about is that if you allow you have
You allow them to
outside
fart. They
domesticated
can't fart.
cats. Oh, no, no, no. They eat all the birds and they hurt the birds. So if you have cats that are allowed outside, then they are injurious to the native bird population.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. The review published in the journal Pacific Conservation Biology, all these things, like you said last time, were like a racket, highlighted the impacts of the world's commonest large carnivore in killing and disturbing native wildlife, particularly shorebirds. Oh, that's what you meant. In Australia, attacks by unrestrained dogs on little penguins in Tasmania may contribute to colony collapse, modeling suggests. While a study of animals taken to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital found that mortality was highest after dog attacks, which was the second most common reasons for admission after car strikes. Yes, studies have found that deer, foxes, and bobcats were less active in or avoid wilderness areas where dogs were allowed, while other research shows that insecticides from flea and tick medications kill aquatic invertebrates when they
Invertebrates, yeah.
invertebrates when they wash off into waterways. Dog feces can also leave scent traces and affect soil chemistry and plant growth. Oh, this is so.
What's new about this? Yeah, dog takes a dump in your yard, you don't clean it up. Yeah, it causes extra nitrogen that can cause problems with your grass.
It's a
Yeah.
carbon
This
footprint
is
of
this is
pets, yeah.
what happens. Yeah.
And the dry pet food industry is an environmental footprint. Blah blah
Oh.
blah. What is this nonsense? It's like what are they doing? Like people are funding these kind of studies for how like dogs are farting and why it's bad. This is very very strange
Well,
to me.
all those dog parents out there are gonna be very, very angry that you're talking about their children this way. So
To a certain extent, we give a free pass to dogs because they are so important to us, not just as working dogs, but also as companions. But they play vital roles in conservation work, such in wildlife detection. Although we pointed out these issues with dogs in natural environments, there is that other balancing side. Ugh, this is just so dumb. I just don't know who got up in the morning one day and said, like, let's invest millions in checking if like dog farts are ruining the environment. That's basically what this is. And it's like a long ass like study with all these like people supposedly saying very smart things. Uh I am gonna go with what people wait, what was that at the end? If nothing else, pick up your own dog shit. I actually wrote that in the article.
well, yeah,
Man,
that's the rule in our neighborhood. If you don't pick it up, you're going to be in
yeah,
trouble.
I mean it's good to pick it up, but man, this is a lot of nonsense. And one dirty bird says climate change is a farce fed by government money that only goes to studies that get results the governments want, equals more government control over our lives. I just wonder who funded this thing to kind of.
Oh no, Price went nuclear. Oh, there he is. He's back. Oh, I can't hear you, Price. Can anyone in the chat hear Price? Or is it just...
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there he is. There
I
he
feel
is.
like that
Okay.
commercial, whatever it is. So yeah, basically, I tend to agree with the people that think that there's a reason why this dog study came. And then other like publications started sort of sharing the same research. So suddenly there were like a number of places that were kind of amplifying it today. It's like you care about the environment. Maybe dogs aren't as good as you thought they are. They do fart a lot, and it's like I don't know. I agree. I agree with the people that thought there was a conspiracy theory. I kind of agree with them.
It does seem like a very odd thing to fixate on, right? The dogs. That's the reason. That's what causes all the problems.
Right. I mean, okay, so are you saying that if it's only the dogs farting that caused all the problems with the environment, does that mean that we don't need to pretend to recycle or do good and all this other crap that it was all irrelevant anyways to begin with? We can stop with all of that? It's just the dogs farting. Is that the issue? You know what I mean? That climate change it's a group of scientists that just get a lot of money for doing crap, in my opinion, and they just keep moving the goalposts. We laughed about that ozone layer, but for me that's a good example. We grew up that we were told that that ozone layer was really serious and that the world was like in danger, and then one day nobody ever talked about that layer again. Nobody cares about it. And then you said to me that they said, oh well, now there's no hole anymore. Why is there no hole? Nobody even knows. So I can't take this stuff seriously. I'm not saying like, that there can't be any kind of climate thing or whatever. I'm not saying that it can't exist, but whatever we're told by these kind of mainstream media, I don't believe that at all. They have not earned my trust. And each time to come up with some different crap that they're peddling, I just don't believe them.
Yeah, it seems really strange. Like I said, to fixate on specifically dogs and like, well, just to me, it feels like it's coming back to all of these same people that just want to ruin everything for everybody, right? Every food you like is destroying the environment. Every animal that you like is ruining people's lives. You know what I mean? Like it's just like everything has to be wrong. So we can try and convince these people here and that people there to change their behavior, and in the end, you're just a robot or something. I don't know. It seems very strange. It's target dogs, right?
Yeah.
They've already gotten the cattle, man. They're shoving the cattle full of all sorts of chemicals so that they don't fart as much. They're gonna make it so that the dogs don't fart either. Nice. They
By
don't
the
fart.
way,
They don't poop.
by the way, is there anything interesting? I feel like I didn't see a lot of interesting things on gaming today. Was there any kind
Um,
of
I don't remember if I saw anything in particular. Saw a few more entertainment things than I did games. Seems like they're saying that perhaps some of these some of the tariffs that have been held off on for electronics will maybe make the Switch 2 not more expensive, even though it's already way too expensive. But it's not going to, the extra tariffs aren't going to come down and make it, $550, $600, whatever. So uh, hopefully maybe they're gonna move forward with announcing the pre-orders for that sometime soon. But I honestly don't know, I honestly don't even know if I would order one. I don't necessarily see a real compelling reason to even own a Switch 2 yet at this point. So um, there was also, let's see, there was something about uh, sales numbers for Assassin's Creed. That latest,
Well, that can't be good. That
disaster of
can't
a
be good.
game.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. Where did I see something about that? Oh gosh. Not seeing it. I know Smash JT did a video about it, but I don't really want to watch a video here. But yeah, from what I remember, essentially it wasn't awful sales numbers wise, but it wasn't good.
It
Like
needed to be spectacular because of the situation that
yeah,
Ubisoft was
yeah.
in. So if it wasn't like the best thing that ever happened to them, it's already a failure, which that's what it seems like this is.
Yeah, it did not get like really fantastic numbers. I think it managed to, I think, probably sell enough that it was able potentially to break even. That's kind of what I was taking away from it, but it is not a huge winner for them, and it is not making them big bucks. If they were actually even able to break even, that's
They needed
just
a huge win here, so I don't
yes,
think
they
that
did.
this is going to be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
win
they
that they're
needed a
looking for.
huge win.
By the way,
Um,
did you ever watch the Hey Hypno Crab, how's it going? Nice to see you here. Did you ever watch and this is can be the final thing we just gloss over. Did you watch Doctor Who the season premiere by any chance?
oh goodness, no.
You're not missing anything. It was absolutely awful. I actually posted a video on one of my channels about it. It was a terrible, terrible. It's like every time you think that Doctor Who couldn't get worse, they somehow still manage to make it worse. It always surprises me how it's like bad isn't enough, and they want it to be even worse than you remember. Uh, you know, ever since Peter Capaldi's last episode, we got Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor with Chibnall as the showrunner. That was very, very bad. But then we got Russell T Davies coming back, and you thought maybe it's going to be good. He brings David Tennant. They do their specials. Those specials were, I dare say, even worse than the Jodie era in terms of damage, because Jodie, like, you didn't even believe she was the Doctor. David Tennant, you do believe it, but when he's sitting there being lectured to about pronouns and about transformer young children and things like that, that was really, really cringe. And then that he split up into two, and that with Nashuti Gatwa as the Doctor, man, it couldn't. It seemed like it couldn't get worse than that. But the one thing that was the redeeming quality of the Nashuti Gatwa episodes, the first season, is that his companion Millie Gibson was actually likable.
Mhm.
I think that she could have been a decent companion, even if it was a previous Doctor. If it was like Capaldi and she was his companion, I don't think anybody would have had an issue with her. She was the only thing that people didn't have an issue with, so they fired her and brought back somebody quote unquote more diverse. I don't care about the diversity. Like, Martha is one of my favorite companions, but this is no Martha. She is the absolute sourpuss, bitter girl boss from the first shot you see her, she's just so miserable and so unlikable, along with like, Nishuti Gatwa, acting in his kind of strange, overly flamboyant style, which doesn't suit this character. It is a really bad combination. They've somehow managed to do like the worst doctor with the worst companion.
Oof.
It's
Yeah,
really, really bad.
I watched your video. I also watched a couple of other reviews, people talking about it, and it looks just astonishingly bad. So
The part that really I couldn't believe it, and really that moment is the moment that like I understood that like that we're hitting more rock bottom, is that when he did this kind of high kick like the Rockettes and said, "Yes, Queen," I thought to
yes.
myself,
Oh, yes, I
I
saw a clip of that
I just
in
said to
I think it
myself,
was I think
I
it was
can't
Disparu,
believe it.
yeah.
I can't believe that this is Doctor Who, like, that the Doctor would do, like, a high kick in the air and say, "Yes, Queen." That's just, like
It's
that's
just the
so
worst.
awful. There's no
Well,
I don't know if I've seen the Doctor say or do something. It was such a low bar already, like, it was such a difficult to sort of really stun me, but the high kick and the "Yes, Queen," it was too much. It was just like, you're like, "Come on."
the
Russell T Davies at this point is just giving you the middle finger.
oh
He is
yeah.
giving you the middle finger. He wants you to go F yourself.
The
He doesn't care about you or your opinion or the fans or anything. It's "Yes, Queen."
Yes. And then of course you get the planet of the incels insult, right? Which
Oh,
that,
oh.
that is such a meaningless insult now. It is so stupid the way it's just thrown around. You're like, oh, it's you're an incel, and completely forgetting what that's actually supposed to mean. It has absolutely no bearing on anything at all. It's just the dumbest insult you can get. And yeah, the high kick thing.
The
Yes,
high
Queen.
kick.
Oh my
Lion says Tom
God,
Baker for the
so
win.
dumb.
Absolutely, Tom Baker is the GOAT.
Oh
Phantom Buck high
yes.
kick. The high kick and the Yes Queen. And then also, there, in the video, I try to keep it more concise. I know some videos, they go, some people are good at that. Like Disparu, if you watch his video, it's like an hour, but that's kind of his thing. I watched like Bull Streck's video. He had like a 12-minute one. Mine
Yeah.
was like 9 minutes and something. For good and for bad, I think people that like my videos like that I take like 8, 9, 10 minutes and really put a lot of my ideas into it.
Yeah.
And I try not to overstay my welcome. But I'll tell you what, I probably could have talked about this one for another 5 to 10 minutes, dissecting how many dumb things there were in here. For starters, the guy that's the bad guy, her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, nobody talks about the fact that she mentions his name, which is the only reason they went and even got him.
Yeah.
Basically, she throws him under the bus, so he like gets into trouble, and at the end he dies. And she and like the doctor seem happy that the
Oh,
guy
they're
died.
laughing about it. They
Yeah,
laugh.
they're so
They-
pleased that like he died, and I'm just thinking to
He
myself,
gets he
what are
gets
you so pleased
unalived
about?
because
Yeah,
he's been reverted back to a separate sperm and an egg, and then a Roomba comes by and sucks those up. So he's never born. And then they're just cracked up by this. I saw that clip and I just thought that is the most appalling thing I've ever seen. The doctor just gleefully laughing about a dead man. Of course, he's a white heterosexual man, so it's okay to take joy in his death. But
Double R Star says again, BBC funded by Bill Gates was just WF the population theme for Doctor Who.
yeah,
You know what? I have to say that he is a huge donor. Bill Gates, for many years, has been contributing a lot of money to the BBC, and I once looked into it. I believe that what I read was, and I was actually looking at official documents and stuff from the BBC. He gave like millions and millions of dollars every year. And the way he explains it is he's not giving it to the BBC, he's giving it to their charity arm. But then when you actually read what their charity arm does, it takes the BBC programming, which is always very kind of woke, and it goes to like places in like rural villages in Africa, and it tries to like round up ladies and show them the BBC. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to spread the message of whatever it's doing in like weird places in Africa. Very, very strange stuff. So I don't know what to tell you. I just I don't know why he keeps giving them money. I think maybe I do know, but it's very strange. And that whole Doctor Who thing, and I don't know. There's a lot of issues. The BBC is not what it used to be. It's certainly at this point really just a propaganda machine, unfortunately, in my opinion, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's disappointing what they did with this show, and each time you think that it couldn't get any lower, they get even lower. And the fact that the boyfriend was like a gamer, they had him
Yeah,
like with the
yeah, he's
headphones
a
of the gamer.
gamer. Oh, so he's a loser,
Right, and
and he's
basically it feels like Russell T Davies has in his mind the boogeymen, the people that are tanking his show, are gamers. Like gamers are the ones that like are his big like nemesis now, and it's like, man, you're so pathetic. It's like I think that this community and a lot of times gamers are just more vocal about their thoughts and they just cut through the crap. I don't think that you should blame your poor ratings on some gamers, which is kind of what he was seemed to be doing with this episode.
Yep.
Yeah,
So much
Elizabeth
for Doctor Who.
Elizabeth Quinn says UK
Oh
is lost. I
God,
agree. There's a lot of strange
you're
things.
not wrong. There's so much stuff going over there in the UK. I genuinely sometimes just deeply worried about the people that I know and care for over there. It's in a very strange state of affairs right now. You know, people getting people showing up and them questioning them for uh, you know, social media posts.
Very, very strange what's going on here. And they don't like the dogs to fart or whatever it is. Feel like the professor is gone, but now he's back. Andrew Seaton, I don't know anyone who watches Doctor Who anymore. It's finished in the UK. I know that. E. Clay Thomason says maybe, I guess he's referring to Gates, gives the BBC money because they have dirt on him for the Adventure Island Man files.
I suppose that's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, the person that you're referring to, he just I don't want to get into trouble here. According to what I remember, there's no way I can't say what I'm thinking and without getting any trouble here. So let me try to dance around this. Apparently, when when Mr. Computer Man was having trouble with his wife, he one of the people that he turned to for spiritual guidance was Mr. Adventure Island Man.
Island Man. Yeah. Okay.
And then they spent time together. And there was once a very, very strange quote. I probably don't want to, repeat it, but he was talking about something about how to. I don't want to say it. I want to keep it to myself. In any case, strange things, certainly very strange. I know that these days when they interview him or whatever, he really tries to distance himself from that whole situation. But I have to wonder what his relationship with Adventure Island Man really was.
Strange things are afoot at Adventure Island.
There are a lot of strange things happened.
Oh boy.
No, just so you know that on Rumble, R2D22, on Rumble we do have free speech, and I feel less, more comfortable. But because we're on a few different platforms, I'll be a little more careful because sometimes when you talk about it, Adventure Island Man and Mr. Computer Man, and their friendship. Lyle says BBC used to be Benny Hill and Monty Python. Benny Hill, I remember as a kid, I'd watch that. He's always like running around and there's like a bunch of ladies and he's like shoving his face in their boobs. That's what I remember. He's like an old guy that likes to like run around and chase like young ladies. And there's this like funny music that's like being played and he's just running around from side to side. It was certainly a very interesting program, and Monty Python also were very much pushing the envelope.
That's entertainment right there. Men running around pressing their faces in women's breasts. That's real entertainment.
It's Funny Island Man, funny Adventure Island Man.
Adventure Island.
You know why? Because I think of that game Adventure Island, and I think of the guy like that. That's him, the guy with the hammer that he's like running around and jumping. It's basically Wonder Boy. I don't know if you know this, The game Wonder Boy and the game Adventure Island, it's the same game.
Yeah.
Only for Sega, it was called Wonder Boy. And I think that Wonder Boy had like blonde hair. And for the Nintendo, it was called Adventure Island. I think the same kid had brown hair.
Yeah,
I
it's a
wonder,
slightly different looking character, but yeah, it's essentially the exact same game. Yeah.
same exact thing. That's why his wife divorced him, maybe because you're saying because he because of Mr. Adventure Island. It's possible.
Very
In any case,
possible.
boobies. I don't even know what the
Mhm.
contact is.
Booblies. So yeah, speaking of destroying a franchise, we can wrap it up with this last one with just a few comments here, and then we can we actually we do have a super chat real quick. Let's do that first.
Oh,
Price.
okay. Where is that?
Over on YouTube
Oh, yeah, I
from
see it.
the dead man.
Thank you for the dead man for both super chats that you gave today, and I'm going to share them right now so we can address them. So one was the thing with the amp and all that. The other one off topic, but what do you think of the Doors movie and the band? Okay, as far as the band goes, I like the Doors. I think that they had their own kind of sound and style. Jim Morrison had a lot of character as a singer, and I think that the blueprint of the type of singer he was. When I think of later people like Eddie Vedder and even other people that came later in like grunge and stuff, you could tell that there was that he was an influence. He was like just the real deal when it comes to being this kind of rock star, and he had that kind of rock star vibe and that rock star voice, and I generally like the music of the Doors. The other thing is that I believe he's called Ray Manzarek, the guy on the keyboard. I really like his keyboard. Very very unique and special. Those are the two things that really stand out for me in the Doors. It's Jim Morrison singing, but it's also the musicianship, the writing, and the playing of the keyboard in that band as well. I don't have anything. The Robbie Krieger who plays guitar is fine. I'm trying to think of the drummer. I lost his name, but very decent musicians. There's nothing wrong with them. But for me, the standouts are Jim Morrison on vocals and Ray Manzarek, I think, on keyboard. That would be the standouts for me. And generally, I like them. Before we talk about the movie, Professor, what did you think about the Doors?
I've never really listened to their music that much. It did not appeal to me a lot. It's good for the most part. It's just not something that I've spent a lot of time listening to. So really don't have a lot of opinions on the band themselves or their music. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that when
Christ
you
thought I
hear
was going to talk for a lot longer and
no, I mean the
tried to
thing is
escape.
when you think of a band, you think about if they have their own unique style, if they did something that's
Sure.
their own vibe. And I really feel that way. Whether you like the Doors or not, that's one thing, or whether you listen to them or not. But they very much sound like the Doors. Meaning, if there is a song now that for some reason I haven't heard it, but it's the Doors, I'll probably know within 3 seconds. You just hear the keyboard and you hear Jim Morrison singing, and you're like, okay, that's the Doors. And when you have like a signature voice and a signature sound and a signature style as a band, that's a really positive thing. You want that. Now, it may not be for everybody, but I, over the years, have really come to appreciate a lot of what they did. And it's a band that I'm genuinely fond of. Don't listen to them every second. I think that in my youth, I listened to them more. But if somebody suddenly puts them on, I'm not going to be like, oh, how dare you put the Doors on? Like, the Doors are a good band. And then when it comes to the movie had Val Kilmer playing Jim Morrison. Val Kilmer, that is one of the best, the late Val Kilmer that passed away recently. That role that he did of Jim Morrison, one of his best acting performances in his entire career. I don't think he won an Oscar for that one. Maybe he was nominated. I can't remember, but he certainly deserved an Oscar. He was fantastic as Jim Morrison. He really, really got into the vibe of him, and I thought he was great in that role. And for those who like a good conspiracy theory, I think that there's some things surrounding the circumstances of Jim Morrison's death that are not 100%. There's some fishy things that went on with his death. Let's put it that way.
The movie was very enjoyable. It's been a long time. I think I've only ever seen it once.
Do you know what happened with his death?
No, I don't.
So rumor has it, and I don't know. Again, it's been many years, and I don't remember now where I read what, but this is what like the rumor has it. Basically, Jim Morrison, I think, was at a club. I think this was in France. He was doing a lot of white, snowy substance thing.
Colombian marching powder.
Something like that, yes. He was doing that, I guess, at a local bar or whatever it was and drinking. And then he came home, and I think that he wanted to continue that same type of festivity. And he found a bag of white Colombian marching, whatever you were saying. He found that, or that's what he thought it was, and it belonged to his girlfriend, who also liked to participate in strange activities like this. So he inhaled some of the things that were going on there, thinking that it would be a continuation of the festivities that he started at the bar. But it turned out that rather than being the Colombian thing, it was more of that kind of train spotting thing. You understand what I'm saying? It was more like the thing that starts with the letter H.
Yes.
And he didn't realize that it wasn't the same thing. Now, if you mix those two together, it could become an issue. And since this guy probably did way too much festivities, I think that something bad was happening to him. Now, at this point, you probably needed immediately to get him to a hospital. But given that he was with a wife that herself was engaged in a lot of festivities, I think that she somehow, I don't know if with the help of another person or how it happened, I think she tried to drag him into like a bathtub and pour ice on him, because sometimes that was ways to bring a person back. And I think that whatever plan that was hatched there must not have been a good one, and he ended up dying. I can't only blame his girlfriend, wife, or whatever she was for this issue, but let's just say that it doesn't seem like her presence was especially helpful either. And she herself, after a few years, passed away from engaging in many festivities. Wow, I'm like an expert in just talking around, beating around the bush. Like hopefully somebody understands me and they're not like, what's this guy even talking about?
I do remember that he was a member of what they called the 27 Club, right? There was a whole bunch of those musicians and famous people around that time that passed away at 27 years old, and I remember him being part of that. I think Jimi Hendrix was part of that, and who was it? Brian Jones. It was in the Rolling Stones.
Agree with Oliver Stone. Meg Ryan bitched out in this movie. Course says fault for hiring one-dimensional actress. What's he trying? Did Oliver Stone say that he didn't like the performance she gave? I don't even recall this. I thought she was all right. I don't remember hating her in the movie. But for me, the highlight was Val Kilmer's Jim Morrison. Knocked that out of the park. E. Clay Thomason said he wanted an upper but got a downer. That is true. Culture, because you understand you perfectly. I don't know what the context is or what he understands me about. R2D22, don't be sexist. Price, give women their due. I'm giving them their due. Mama Cass, people say she ate a sandwich, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, I assume that she ate sandwiches, but I don't know if that was what led to her. Amy Winehouse, I kind of feel bad for. She actually did have some talent. She was heavy into the drinking, and I think that sometimes what happens with people, that have these addictions, they stop for a long time. They stop drinking. So let's say for like a number of half a year or whatever it is, she's not drinking. She's getting her life back together, and then one day they want to drink, and then they don't realize that their body is now not used to the amounts of drinking they did before. So I think she drank so much that it was too much for her and she died. I think that's what happened with Amy Winehouse. There have been other instances like that. Sadly, I believe it was Dee Dee Ramone from the Ramones that also had a similar situation. This is something that I vaguely recall. I think he was clean for a number of years, but then he engaged in some festivities, not realizing that his body was not used to festivities anymore. And, it's those situations that you're more likely to get either alcohol poisoning or, an load of something. So that happens sometimes, unfortunately. There's other cases, not only the two of them. Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Robert. Yeah, Janis Joplin may have had a situation like that as well.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
He complained about her. This is Meg Ryan. Val got the part because Oliver couldn't tell Van Zig. Yes, that I remember. I don't know. I mean, I think that Meg Ryan was good in the roles of these kind of rom-coms. I feel like, the Doors maybe kind of pushed her to needed her to do a bit more. But I haven't watched the movie in a long time. I don't recall thinking that I hate her in the movie. I just think that, like, she's certainly not as good as Val Kilmer is in the movie, but again, he's playing Jim Morrison, and he knocked it out of the park. So that's what I could say about that movie. It's like life has consequences. Yes, it does. Expert in innuendic doom. Southern Comfort killed Janice. It's possible. But I will say that festivities, this will now be the term forevermore. Yeah, no, but I will say that there's that issue. That is a real issue that if you look, that, this has happened many times. Philip Seymour Hoffman, that was another case. He for years was clean. He did this and that. One day, he that's similar to the Dee Dee Ramone story. One day, he decides he wants to participate in these type of festivities again. Too much for him, overwhelms him, his system, and he dies. It happens sometimes. I mean, I don't know. This is really, first of all, it's best not to get addicted to those things to begin with, and then if you're off them, it's probably best to stay off them.
To stay that way, yeah.
And if for some reason you insist on not staying, then first of all, I don't think it's a good idea. But I'm saying, like, if you're forcing if that has to happen, the person has to at least understand that he doesn't have the tolerance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They used to do, a whole bunch of, things like lines or shooting up a certain amount of things or whatever. And yeah, you can't go straight back to where you were when you were an addict doing that daily.
I wonder, Sid and Nancy, that had something to do with one of them killing the other, or they killed or something. I don't remember now. Anyhow, Hypnocrab says, I gotta go. Night, night. Well, we're going in a few minutes too.
Night, Hypnocrab. Yep.
Hypnocrab. I think now's a good time.
Yep.
I did see that Emperor Goodwin sent a message. Did I just see him?
Yeah, he's in the chat. Yeah.
Joplin was also a fan of Horse. Yes. She certainly was.
Lady H. So I just thought I'd get your thoughts. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I thought I'd mention it here. We were already talking about ruining one franchise. So you'll have to share my screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or shut yours down. One or the other. There you go. So they've gone out and they've been announcing some of the official casting for the new version of Harry Potter on HBO. Any thoughts on these, Price?
I don't know what to tell you, man. Some of these are strange. I I think that some of these casting choices are probably going to backfire on them. I think that, you know, I always hate being in this situation because the thing is that there's nothing wrong with wanting to be diverse or inclusive. Generally speaking, that's not a bad thing. But sometimes when you just take something and like do it just because you want to do it at any price, even if it doesn't really seem to fit, that's when you're just like, you're doing it the wrong way. I think in those situations, and that's just my general feeling. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I don't think I like Lithgow in this role at all as Dumbledore. I
I mean,
I don't know why they would
I
hire
think
him.
that you needed somebody who was British for it, but
You
that's
needed
just my
someone who's
opinion.
British. Yep. Obviously, the one that most people are talking about the most is Papa Sidhu being brought in as Snape, which is an interesting choice and one that for me is the end of my interest in this show. No thanks. I'm out. Uh, we've done this.
Jonathan Conroy says flop central.
We've done this over and over. Oh, we're gonna take this character. We're gonna make them black. Well, you're gonna earn the black experience. Blah blah blah. Whatever. No. Okay, this character was not black. It was very clearly described as being a white man with a hooked nose, pale skin, long, greasy black hair. Not a black man. And you know what they're going to do with this character, making him black. They are going to take the bullying that this character experienced as a child, being hung from a tree, everything. They're going to turn this into a racial thing rather than just high school bullying and stuff. And so now uh, they're going to have a black man who goes undercover essentially as a member of the wizard Yahtzees, right? Goes undercover to join the wizard Yahtzees.
It's strange, yes.
But then they're also going to tell a story of when he was a kid, he was bullied, and there's going to be a racial component to that now, and they're going to make Harry's father and mother racists. And so I just no, we're done. I am done with this crap. We've seen it over and over again. I'm out. I'm not watching this show. I don't care what they do. I don't care who else they cast. Go ahead, make Harry black, make Hermione black. I don't care. I don't do what you want. This show is done. I think that the people who are excited about this being a very direct translation of the books, making this something, that was more akin to the books and that could tell stories a little more slowly with a little more depth than they could in the movies. I think a lot of those very same people are all out too. It's just no, we're done. I am not the world's biggest Harry Potter fan. I am not. I did enjoy the films. I've read a couple of the books, read some of them with my kids. They're fun. They're interesting. There's a lot of interesting different characters in there. Just bringing the racial politics and stuff into it. No, I'm done. No, thank you.
I agree.
I'm out. Not even for a hate watch.
Totally
Not
understand.
even gonna bother.
Totally got it.
Yep. It's frustrating, honestly. I really thought like this would be an excellent opportunity. Not that I really thought it needed a remake. I thought the films, for the most part, were pretty well done. They are kids' movies, no question. But for the most part, I enjoyed how they translated those books onto the screen. And for the most part, I thought did really well with those characters.
Elizabeth Quince disagrees. She says, no, more of this. It helps red pill the woke youngsters.
Okay. I suppose that's another way to think about it. Sure. Gets them to finally wake the hell up, right? But yeah, no, I know I'm so done. I'm so done with all of this, just inserting racial politics into everything, and I'm out. Well, let's say goodnight to some of our friends who joined us
That
here in
sounds
the
like a
chat
good
this
idea.
evening. Let's see. We had over on Rumble, we had a handful of people who were joining us in the chat tonight. More who were just hanging out and watching, and we appreciate that. Even if you're not hanging out in the chat with us, if you're watching and just lurking there, we still appreciate it. But we saw a bunch of our regulars here tonight. Our friends Phantom Monk, Dubrosef 420. Kivo 1961, some of our newer friends like One Dirty Bird, Elizabeth Quince, we had Loyo share with us. Let's see, did I get Hypno Crab, High Life, which is a newer name to me. I'm glad to see you here tonight, High Life. Double R Star, and Pork Sword Supreme. That's a that's a fun name there too. We appreciate seeing all of you over there on Rumble this evening. And over on YouTube, we did have a handful of people here. First, I want to make sure I mention just a big thank you to Adam Gray and Eraserhead, our two wonderful mods over there on YouTube. Thank you so much for helping us out tonight. And then, let's see, we had Marla Sharondoff, the Dead Man, who also sent us a few super chats. Thank you, the Dead Man. Argentum, Jonathan Conroy, Empress NM, Scribelight stopped in for a minute and recommended sending people over to our show over on X, and we appreciate that. Love Scribelight. Let's see, Yidis, Caleb Levine, Sean Green, Kaiwan Calendar, Breeze Feats, Marks 47, the lovely Sherry, Pendi Kolima, Tim Hayes, Void King, Isaac 556 X45, Justin Cook, Bill S. Preston Esquire, Kelly Hans, also 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. He stopped in for a minute to say hi. It's good to see Nick here. Rob Altus, Granola Grin, Ron Donafero, Tex Rogers, Rob Nod Scubla, E. Clay Thomason. This is my name. R2D22. We also had a few others. See, Lasher joined us a little bit later. Also saw Emperor Goodwin, and I think I got pretty much everybody. I don't think I missed anyone, but if I did, I'm sorry. Make sure to get you next time. So we got one more chat, one super sticker from the Dead Man. Can you guess what
It's
it
a poop
is,
one.
Bryce?
It's probably a poop one. Yeah.
Oh, it's a happy poop. Thank you, the Dead Man, for your 99-cent poopy sticker. We appreciate it. So,
Dead
yeah, I
man
think
knows
that's
how to.
yes. Slipping one in there at the last moment. Sliding one out. Pinching off a super sticker for us in the chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see the Dead Man, and the Dead Man. Here's his super sticker. Wait. Oh, I meant to.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Are you there, Professor?
Oh, yeah, you still there? Yeah, everything
Yeah,
locked
no, I
up
lost
for
you
a
for a
second.
second.
Yep.
Have
I
a
must
good
have been on
night,
the server
Lasher
end.
and Jonathan Conroy. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Did we go over everybody?
Yeah, I think we got them all.
Thank you so much, guys. And I saw Marla Sharondoff here, which is always nice to see her.
Yes.
Kind of came. She didn't say a lot, but I saw her here.
That's all right.
And yeah, we love hanging out with you guys. And we'll be here again on Thursday at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, same time. Just shooting the breeze like we always do. And we hope to see you all there. So I guess on that positive note, we're going to say goodbye and good night to everybody. And see you next time.
Yeah. Good night and take care.
Good night. Bye.